life, I might have to, the pitchforks at the front of the door, I might have to pick it up and come and protest.
Good for you, my darling.
Yeah.
I love you dearly. Have a
lovely weekend, all of you.
Yeah, have a great weekend. Telephone number 049 65 68 60. Bonnie Tyler's gone to God. That was sad. Sure, only 75 years old. It's a heartache. Wonderful voice.
Yep. She heralded him really well, I thought.
She went into hospital to have something done to her vocal cords, and she had a very nice voice.
In Portugal, once more.
Originally, but what they did made her a fortune. There's a slip of the knife.
Same thing that Rod Stewart did.
Oh well, it's not just a voice.
No,
it's a passport to greatness. Speaking of greatness, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Peter Goers on the line. Peter, how are you?
Oh, Jeremy, how you doing?
I'm alive and kicking. We just
because you're an octogeranium.
I thought I was a methylated spiritualist, but I'll go along with anything.
I've never heard that before, methylated spiritualist.
You can use that.
Don't start drinking meths. It's not good, Jeremy. No.
We wanted to ring and congratulate you for your latest part. Opening night was last night?
I'm exhausted.
Did you pull up well or not?
Yes, I did. Look, it went very well, and we had a huge house at the Arts Theatre. It's booking extremely well, I'm happy to say.
The Man Who Came to Dinner.
Yes, and this is a lovely old. People remember the movie, I think, and various versions of it. But it's a lovely old play, a well-written play, as they say. The well-made play, and with a huge cast of 22. And it's going very well, I'm happy to say. But I've got an enormous part. I'm barely off stage for 2.5 hours, and it's the sort of King Lear of comedy.
How do you remember all the lines?
With great difficulty.
I don't know how you do it.
The last couple of months, I've either been rehearsing or having people help, getting the lines into my head. I've never been good at that, Jeremy. It's not been my gift.
Well, you just walk around with the script and say it over and over again, or do you write it down?
Yes.
How do you commit it to memory?
Well, you rehearse it with the script, and then eventually, the only way I can learn lines is if I have someone here sitting here feeding me, and eventually you get it. And mostly, I think I knew all my lines last night, but not always necessarily in the order in which they should come.
So it's very wordy, clearly.
Yes.
Very wordy. But is it? I can't remember. I know I've seen the movie.
I play a famous and very acerbic, egocentric radio star, and I've based it on you, Jeremy.
Oh, God bless you. I'm so flattered.
Everyone says, "Oh, it's just like Jeremy." Anyway, he goes to dinner he's on a lecture tour tour of the United States, and he's in a small town in Ohio, and he goes to dinner, and on leaving dinner, he slips on an icy step and breaks his hip. So he's stuck in these people's house for a month, driving them mad.
God, I hope he could well enough to call a lawyer.
Yes, exactly. And he's threatening them with suits. And we've got all his mates coming in, Noel Coward and Gertrude Lawrence and Harpo Marx and, all kinds of people who are coming to visit him, and people are sending him things from all over the world, including, penguins and an octopus and an Egyptian sarcophagus. So it's very farcical, and it's just a lovely old comedy with a love story in the middle of it, not with me, but with his secretary, and I stymie that love story. And it's a joy to play, and a really top cast, and it's sort of got a bit of everything, but it's happily doing very well. And of course, the fruit of your loins, once again, the famous Christopher, plays a nice part, and gets to rush around a bit, and he's doing very well.
No, good. That's wonderful. Every little piece of experience, I tell him, every piece of experience, every time you walk out on a stage, every time you put on a microphone,
that's right.
It's enormously valuable, because
and he's a trooper, that kid. He's a trooper, and as I've always told you, he's a nice kid, and you and Caroline have done a good job raising that boy.
I just wish he could keep his bedroom tidy. Just pick things up off the floor.
Well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the floor drobe now, isn't it? Everyone has a floor drobe.
Yes. I say everything in its place, and a place for everything.
Exactly. Well, you should see my place, Jeremy. I've got, you and I are collectors, Jeremy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how you moved from Norwood to Glenelg. How would you pack everything up?
No, well, it was the move from hell, and I don't know that I can ever move again. I just hope to leave this apartment in a box, feet first.
Oh, God.
Yes, but and because we both do the auction houses. Oh, that's tonight. We'll see the go through online, won't we, with the auctions? Do you do that on Friday night, Jeremy?
No, I tend to sort of go in on a Saturday morning and have a look around. I love walking around with all of the characters. I think the characters sort of make
I agree.
auction places. They're fascinating.
I agree. And it's a bit social, isn't it? You meet people and have a chat.
Well, I just aspire to be a character, but I don't know how to do it.
Take a dog.
Jeremy, you're a character. You've solved
Lots of dogs.
I'll take the dog. I don't know what Missy would make of going to an auction. But when
are you happy? You're happy, Jeremy? Yeah, you're okay?
I'm fine. I specialise in being fine. I every day produces something that I can either learn from or profit by. It's a good life. I'm very happy with it. I just don't understand how all these people around me. They're getting older, and I'm not. I have no idea what's going on here.
I know. It's incredible, isn't it? You meet people you haven't seen for ages, and you think how old they look, and then they must think that about us.
And particularly if you've had your cataracts done, because you can see all the wrinkles. You never saw them before.
Thing, isn't it weird, though, Jeremy? The older we get, the less we understand, the less we know.
Well, the less we have to explain. We can pull that
true
wise thing, that maturity thing. We don't have to go out there and explain anything to anyone.
I don't know. Here I am. I feel as if I know nothing. And, to be 16 again when we knew everything.
Well, that's true. It's, of course, wasted on the young.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely wasted on the young. Hey, what did you think of the Prime Minister being asked, would he like to shag Kylie Minogue? What was her name? Kylie Minogue, yeah.
It shows what a bogan he is, just to make that sort of comment.
Yeah, but I wonder if anyone has asked Kylie who she'd like to shag.
No, not him. Or maybe
I think
let's throw Bowen into the mix as well.
Huh?
I think his mistake was, I think, that whoever does that podcast has those regular questions. And I think he fell into a trap there. And I mean, the question was stupid of a prime minister. I mean, I blame the podcaster rather than him, I'm afraid.
Yeah, but you could. You've got to think on your feet, and in a moment like that, I mean, you can get in. Words can kill.
We've all said stupid things on air. I mean, I haven't, and you haven't.
No.
Jeremy,
I was just when you said that, my mind was racing. I couldn't think of one.
Oh, dear. Yes, well, there we are.
Kylie Minogue.
Kylie Minogue, what?
Well, the famous meeting between the two of them when they first met was Michael said to her, "Should we date or just do it here?"
Well, there's an opening line. Peter,
I met Kylie Minogue
for him.
at a party in Glen Osmond.
Oh, really?
Yes, and it was there was a house. It's still there, I imagine. That has it's regular-looking house from the front, but there's a big room at the back, and you open a door and you walk into a mine shaft that goes 500 metres into Mount Osmond.
Oh, yeah. There are a few adits, I think they call them, or mine shafts around the place, but I've never heard of one adjoining or adding to a
And
house.
it just, I mean, you sort of walked to the end of it and came back. It was in good nick, but they just used it for storage, basically. But
Or
anyway,
maybe-
Kylie was at the party, and she's tiny. She's like a little bird that's fallen from the nest. You just wanted to take her home and put her in a shoebox with cotton wool.
I bet you did.
Sounds like Beverly Harrell. She's a cutie too.
Yes, she's tiny too, and a lovely person, Bev Harrell.
Gorgeous person.
Yeah. Oh, well.
But as you know, Jeremy, the bigger the star, the nicer they are, generally.
Well, that's true. It's only the would-be's, if they could-be's, that give you a hard time.
There are exceptions to this. We won't name them. Kirita Kanawa.
Some of them are just bloody full of themselves. My mind is racing to be a fly on the wall at the local council, the Burnside Council. And
Well, that's the gift that keeps on giving, isn't it?
but can you imagine trying to explain to the people who say yes or no to your plans, your house plans, that you're incorporating a mine shaft at the back of the house?
God.
There has to. If there wasn't a regulation preventing you from doing it then, there certainly is now.
Speaking of appalling people in show business,
Yes.
one of the most difficult people in all of show business was Rex Harrison. Remember Rex Harrison?
Oh, yes, I do.
My Fair Lady. And people who worked with him either disliked him or loathed him.
Mm.
He was appalling. Anyway, there was a story. He was doing My Fair Lady in the sort of last tour in the 80s. And it was an all-stops tour in America. And they get to somewhere, I don't know, Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And it's a rainy night. And there's a little old lady waiting at the stage door for an autograph. And Rex Harrison, the great man, comes out. And the little old lady says, "Oh, please, Mr. Harrison, I adore you. I'm your greatest fan. Can I have your autograph, please?" And he just pushes her aside. And she nearly falls backwards and manages to right herself. And she's so offended that she picks up her autograph book and she throws it at the back of his head.
Right.
A rare case of the fan hitting the shit.
I'm going to interrupt.
Oh, yes, what?
I had dinner with Rex Harrison once in London.
No,
and I thought he
you
was
had
charming.
dinner with Rex Harrison?
Yes.
Well, tell us more. Tell us more.
Yes.
Well, where was it?
At the Savoy in London.
Oh, of course it was.
Of course it was.
Of course it was.
We were all there at the time.
Was he rude?
No, he was charming.
Oh, well, look.
Oh,
Well, we're not going to spoil Peter's story with
yes,
that.
but that's you, Carol. Who wouldn't be charming to you?
Oh, dear, oh, dear.
Except sometimes Jeremy. You know, one day I came and do your show and you weren't there.
Oh, well, that's true. She does throw her skirt in the air quite often and sponsors out. I don't know.
No, it was your fault, Jeremy. It was your fault.
It's always my fault. It's always my fault. I don't fool anyone.
Your wife is a joy. She's one of the loveliest people I have ever known. And you look after her, Jeremy.
I certainly will. Yes. Now, the play goes for how long? How long's the season?
We play this weekend, tonight, tomorrow afternoon, a matinee at 2, tomorrow night, a matinee on Sunday at 2. Then we play Thursday to Saturday next week with nightly shows and also a matinee. So there are 3 matinees, and the matinees are nearly booked out.
Oh, wonderful.
So that's good. So, yes, tickets are available at popular prices.
Who's the director?
Sue Wiley.
Oh, I know that name. Yes, Sue Wiley. Yes.
She was a country music star in her day with the Wiley West Band. And she's done a great job. And it's a fun show and a lovely old-fashioned comedy, and we can all do with a laugh,
Absolutely.
Jeremy.
Now, in the old days, we would say, you can book at Bass. Is that still around?
Or remember Allen's.
Oh, Allen's, yes, of
John
course.
Martin's.
Allen's music, absolutely.
Well, yes, you're right. John Martin's had. I mean, you booked for the Beatles at John Martin's. They had a ticket
Got in
page
before me.
Yeah.
I sat outside there for 3 days to get a ticket.
What, to the Beatles?
Yeah, the Beatle queue on North Terrace.
God, I can't stand queuing.
No, neither could we, but we
can't.
wanted to see the Beatles.
I have no patience.
Time.
No.
No. I say, can't you see I'm tired? I'm going to the head of the queue. Well, people would be so shocked they would probably let you.
Probably would.
Anyway, the Arts Theatre, Angus Street, Adelaide. No, I better not read that phone number because I think it's yours.
The man who came to dinner, and featuring me and the fruit of your loins, Christopher Cordeaux, in
wonderful.
an all-star cast. Good on him.
Oh, fantastic. Keep him employed. Thanks, Peter. Take care of yourself.
Thanks for having me on. All the best. Look after Caroline.
I will.
Bye. Goodbye.
You know what rock and roll means in that context, don't you? Now that's a good song.
Indeed.
Got a long tail.
It does.
Who sings that?
I used to know this.
Nick Lowe. Nick Lowe. I haven't.
Caroline.
Yeah, Nick Lowe. Dr. John Bruni from Sage International and Focus, the podcast. Or is it
The Focus Podcast.
the podcast?
You had that all mangled up, didn't you?
Yeah.
Not enough coffee, not enough coffee.
No, it's Friday. Friday. It's been a long week. Has it been a good week for you?
It's been a very productive week, but I'm starting to fade at the moment. And of course, it's school holidays, so I've got the double fade going on.
Oh, yes. It's 2 children, 2 fades.
2 kids,
Yes.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Narendra Modi. That was quite a thing last night.
He can draw a crowd.
He can pull a crowd, yeah.
Yeah, no, he did it the first time that he met with Albo, and he's topped it again. So Look, we have a huge Indian diaspora here, and I can understand why he'd be a very popular guy. The thing that we have to remember about Narendra Modi is he's not the cuddly teddy bear that we'd like to think he is. He runs a very tight ship back home in India. Some people say that he's a bit of a religious fundamentalist, namely that he takes Hinduism to a more extreme place than most. And look, as far as his strategic autonomy goes in terms of how he's positioned India, I would say that it is a very clever strategy. It's something that the Indians, irrespective of where on the political divide you come from, they really do like the idea of India saying no to the big powers or saying yes to some and no to others. It gives them a sense of leverage on the international stage. And because India is a nuclear power and it has a large armed force and it's standing right next door to its bitter enemy, Pakistan, on a hair trigger alert, people tend to take notice when India moves in certain directions.
And they've both got the bomb, haven't they?
Oh yeah, they've both got the bomb. And the nightmare scenario with that, of course, is that if you think of a nuclear war taking place anywhere, the place that you don't want it to take place over is in India, Pakistan, because it sits right next to the equator, and the trade winds will blow the radiation globally. So, again, from our perspective, we tend to isolate ourselves. And when we think of India, we think of, we think of curry and all that kind of good stuff, maybe cricket. But we don't think of India being on a hair trigger to the annihilation of humanity over a smaller country like Pakistan, which has proved to be a bit of a bad actor internationally as well.
You wouldn't want to... I was trying to remember, Indira Gandhi was assassinated by her Sikh bodyguard, so you'd be careful if you were into religion to any extent to make sure you picked your bodyguard very carefully.
Well, yes, and the reason why that took place was that Indira Gandhi, let me see if I can dig back into my Indian history. Back in 1984, I think, there was a temple in Amritsar which was like a holy site for Sikhs, and they were claiming that they wanted independence from India, and of course
they still do, don't they?
Yeah. Oh my God,
you're public.
No, I have actually pulled the phone.
What have you done?
He'll be back, folks. He's just stepped out for a moment.
It's probably the Prime Minister seeking urgent advice.
Could be.
On foreign affairs.
Yeah.
Or Kylie Minogue.
Or from the missus.
Or Kylie Minogue.
Yeah. Oh.
G'day, Australia. You know what I think about Kylie Minogue?
No, I'll go there, but yeah.
If we gave Kylie the choice, you've got, who do you want to shag? You've got Albo, you've got Chris Bowen, and Jim Chalmers. Now,
my God,
one?
Give her a choice at least.
Yeah, well, she's got a choice.
No,
That's no choice.
Jeremy, those are mental images I will never be able to expunge from my consciousness.
You can't unsee this.
Either way, she gets the back end of the stick.
Well, to sort of...
yeah, all three of them. I'm sorry.
Well...
It's the conversation's already gone into the gutter, and I haven't even had my first coffee yet. I mean, what's going on here?
No, well, I can get you a glass of wine, and that'll help you along nicely. It always helps me along.
So to speak. Yeah. Oh my God.
Anyway, we're selling India. We're selling India our uranium, and they're an atomic power.
Yeah, nuclear armed and nuclear civilian.
Yep. Now we're not allowed to use it.
Exactly.
But they are.
Yeah.
It makes absolutely no sense at all.
Well, we are... No, it makes perfect sense. We are a farm and we're a mine. So what we do is we take the good earth of Australia, sift it out and ship it off. We don't do anything with it because, of course, that would take political imagination, and that is something we don't have here in abundance. I think we've all come to that conclusion at some point.
Apparently there are so many competing interests and vested interests... The government has to walk this very fine line. Well, Labor certainly has to walk this very fine line that it can't do this and it can't do that, and the Greens won't let them do this.
Yep.
I just find it amazing that when you look at the growth in India, and then you look at our growth, which is feeble and one of the worst in the world, and they're using our coal for cheap energy, and
Yeah,
they're
but
using our uranium.
I will give you a little. There's a darker image here that very few people, unless those people are from India or travel backwards and forwards between Australia and India, know, and that is that there is a price that India has paid for its fast track to development, and because a lot of it, I mean, arguably 70% of it is still coal based. Yeah. The pollution, the excessive pollution in places like New Delhi. I mean, honestly, there have been 2 places on this planet that I've gone to, and I've had lung infections, serious lung infections. Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, I had, I think, on the 5 times that I've been there, 3 lung infections because the pollution level was so high. And
why did you keep going back?
Yes, the person that I had married hails from there. Okay. I mean, it's a lovely place, don't get me wrong, and the culture is fantastic. It's just that the atmosphere takes a lot of getting used to. Yeah. And in New Delhi, again, you know, I mean, I saw so many wonderful things, and I thought, oh my God, the food is exceptional, everything is great, but I can't breathe the air. It was absolutely awful.
In China, maybe it's changed now, but we took a whole bunch of listeners when I was at 2GB, so it would have been about 1989, something like that. We took about 30 people to China. This was only a matter of weeks after the Tiananmen Square massacre. Yeah. And that was on the list of things to see, the square. And you could see the bullet holes, where the bullets hit the bricks, because it's made of bricks.
Yep.
But the thing that struck me was you never saw the sky. It was just
brown
or grey. No sunshine. It was just light. It was daytime. But people just got used to it, I suppose.
Well, I don't know how people can adapt to that kind of thing. I mean, I certainly couldn't. And it's just that it's so thick in the air.
And you're breathing it.
And you're breathing it in. And I remember, I mean, it was funny because the first couple of days that I was in New Delhi, it didn't affect me. You know, I was okay. I thought, no big deal, dirty air, no problem. It was on the 4th day. And I remember I was at a conference, a defense conference, and we were at a real swanky 6-star hotel just outside of New Delhi. And I don't know, I was sitting down preparing my notes, and I noticed that there was a funky smell coming out of the air conditioning duct. And then I got up and I moved, and that funky smell just kept on coming through. So at that point, my body just said, I can't stand this air anymore. It doesn't matter whether it comes filtered through or not. Your body's had enough. And then on the way to the airport, it was almost like, oh, God, I can't wait to get to the airport, because they had huge air-conditioned filters in the airport that sucked that stuff out. So I thought I'd go into a purified environment. I go into the airport. Yes, the air was clean until I went to the gate. And then the air poured in from the glass. Oh, my Lord. It was awful. Yeah.
The truce seems to be over. Thank you for the tea. Bless you. The truce seems to be well and truly over, although you can't read what Trump is actually saying or meaning when he says, they're scum. I don't trust them, they're liars.
Are we talking about the Islamic Republic of Japan?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Iran. That truce. That
truce.
one.
Yeah. Yeah, look, Trump has a very interesting form of diplomacy going for him. I don't know if it's going to actually work out well for him, but, his apologists say that he's a very stable genius, and they're maintaining their very stable genius line to the rest of the world. And, of course, if you happen to even slightly criticize the great man publicly, you come under all sorts of pressure from people who have swallowed the Kool-Aid and believe that Donald Trump is a very stable genius.
Well, if you keep telling people something, eventually they're going to believe you.
Well, he's operating by the Joseph Goebbels version of if you tell a lie often enough, people will start believing it. And, of course, about 30-40% of Americans seem to believe it, and the lie continues. And Donald Trump is selling us something about, first the war is over, then we destroyed the armed forces, then the war is over, then the ceasefire is here, then the war is on again, then they're scum, we're going to exterminate their civilization, then we do. In anyone's case, when they're studying this, say 50 years from now, they will say this man had some problems because, keeping the world over a critical choke point where everything runs, our fertilizer industry, our plastics industry, our fuel. It's not an insignificant thing. And he's dicking around, pardon my French, but he's dicking around with all of this to the point where, people are starting to freak out just slightly because, we're going through all of our fuel reserves right now. We're not getting enough fertilizer to our farmers, so the crops next year are going to be much smaller than the crops this year. We're still living off last year's, so maybe, we'll be able to squeak by an extra 12 months. But beyond that, I have no idea if this thing just keeps on kicking on for the rest of the Trump administration.
But if you listen to his rhetoric, wouldn't it make a wonderful movie? Sort of I could see Peter Sellers or Charlie Chaplin, the great dictator. It's just so funny. And when does a war stop? Well, when does a tit for tat? Oh, well, you do that, we'll do this, we'll bomb that. You touch that, we'll bomb that. And he seems to think that that is a contained situation, and it's not really a war.
Well, okay. Let's step back from there. It's true to say these are all negotiating positions, and the Americans are trying to get the upper hand over the Iranians, and the Iranians are trying to get the upper hand over the Americans. But the fact of the matter is, while they're playing these games, the oil and the fertilizer and the plastics are not flowing out of the Gulf. Yeah. So, if it were any other part of the world, say somewhere off the African coast or somewhere off Latin America, no one would give two worries about X, Y, and Z happening. But because it's coming out of the Gulf, it becomes an existential crisis for the world. And I'm not sure how anyone can justify what Trump is actually doing because, see, Trump wrote this book called The Art of the Deal. And The Art of the Deal is like a mafia handbook. It's all about intimidation. I'm going to intimidate you and you're going to, Jeremy, you're just going to fold. Fold like a pack of cards. You got no cards, and all that kind of stuff. And that is what the tenor of the book is all about. But what Trump tends to think of is that he is the most supremely powerful person in the world, and no one else has any agency, and no one is clever enough to work a way around the art of the deal. But if you read The Art of the Deal, and thank crikey I haven't, but if you read it, the argument is full of holes because, yes, it's talking about intimidating your opponents and frightening them into submission and all of that kind of thing. But it doesn't say what happens when your opponent is smarter than you and can intimidate you back. Because the only other option then is a proper war. Now, at the moment, yes, everyone's shooting at each other, but it's in order to try to get the upper hand in the negotiating process. It's not existential yet. Has the war ended? Well, no, because the blockades are still kind of semi in place, and a blockade by nature is an act of war. The shooting is still continuing, but not in a major sustained fashion. It's sort of on again and off again, depending on the mood of Donald Trump, or even the mood of the IRGC. Let's say they have a say in all of this, and if they see that they can muscle in on the action and try to trip Trump up, they will. How does this come to an end? Well, the problem with all of this is the diplomacy is effectively being run by the Americans and the Iranians, and it hasn't been successfully internationalized yet. You would think that the Gulf states would try through their back channels or even more overtly to, bring the Iranians and the Americans together. The Pakistanis have done their bit, but they're limited in what they can achieve because there are too few people trying to negotiate an end to this. This is a global struggle. It does demand a global diplomatic response to put the shackles on both Trump and the IRGC. But if left to their own devices, Trump and the IRGC do not trust each other. That is never a good sign for a lasting peace. You need to build a sense of trust and mutual cooperation. Now, if you had a bunch of other countries holding everyone's feet to the fire, that's a different kettle of fish, but we're not seeing that yet. There are too few countries involved. Most of them have their own interests at stake. The Pakistanis want to, grease the wheel back into Washington's good graces. So they're running their own agenda. They're not running a global agenda here. The Qataris, for instance, they've taken a huge existential hit on their LNG processes. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not they're also entering the negotiating process with the United States with clean hands, or whether they're angling for something else as well. So there's always the subtext to the real event, the headline, right?
John Bruni is with us. Tony's here. Gary's here. You're here. Telephone number 0491 65 68 60.
Whether you're building your first, second or third home or a seasoned property developer, no one likes extra scary costs. Rossdale Homes get that, which is why they pride themselves on their absolute fixed price guarantee. They believe trust is a must, and with their guarantee and fixed price contracts, you'll get no nasty surprises. For peace of mind, trust Rossdale, where only you can change the price. rossdalehomes.com.au, trust is a must. BLD 8104.
Listen to the radio, indeed. Now, what did you hand me, Caroline? July the 10th celebrates Pina Colada Day. Okay, Pina Colada Day. And Don't Step on a Bee Day. Don't Step on a Bee Day. You don't mean a bee day that you find in a toilet, right? No. Don't Step on a Bee Day. Welcome to day 191 of 365. Yeah. There are 174 days remaining in 2026. Have you really? Do you want to press it or will I? Yeah. That you like pina coladas, getting caught in the rain. It's your day, folks. And the feel of the ocean and the taste of champagne. If you like making love at midnight in the dunes on the Cape, you're the lady I've looked for. Come with me and escape. Oh, sorry. Well, I don't know. Who's had a pina colada? I haven't. What's it taste like?
Many years ago. Very sweet.
Sweet.
Pineapple taste.
Fruity sweet.
Pineapple.
But, you know, the tin syrupy, not the fresh pineapple type.
It's very Southern Californian.
Yeah.
What's it made of?
Pineapples and...
Yeah.
I
all that stuff.
Yeah.
All that island.
Don't fiddle with the knobs, Tony.
It won't stop.
All right, back to Iran. This whole thing was about not letting them have the bomb.
No, it wasn't.
Wasn't it?
No. That's what Trump tells you.
Yeah.
But in actual fact, if it was all about that, we would see boots on the ground going after the so-called nuclear dust. You know, we've got to get that nuclear dust out of the country. Well, you're not going to get that with an uncooperative regime sitting in Tehran. You get that if you go in with boots on the ground. So this was about containing the threat that Iran posed to Israel. That's what the war was about. It was not about anything else. Don't believe the BS coming out of the White House. Because really, if it was all about the nuclear dust, that would have been a different war entirely. They're using that as an excuse because it's politically saleable. If you say that it's about the nuclear dust, then people say, oh, well, yeah, we can't have the Iranians have the bomb. Because, of course, as Donald Trump keeps on saying, they're going to use it, They're not going to ever use it. You know, we did studies back, in the early noughties where, you know, we were wondering whether the Iranian regime would be so unhinged as to pass on nuclear material to Hezbollah, right? Now, there were people in D.C. from the Beltway, 6-7-figure salary type people from Harvard and so on, making these papers and these with no evidence whatsoever, saying, oh, no, the Iranian mullahs are so unhinged and so dangerous and so crazy, they will actually hand over operational nuclear weapons, if they ever got them, to Hezbollah, which is a non-state actor.
Yeah.
And anyone with a bit of common sense would sit back and say, well, how would this actually work?
They could make a dirty bomb, though, couldn't they?
Well, what, Iran or Hezbollah? Well, they could make a dirty bomb. Anyone can make a dirty bomb, but the question is that they've had all this time to make the dirty bomb. Where is it? Where is it? I mean, you can raid a hospital, get some cesium, cobble together a missile with or a rocket with a warhead filled with cesium. That's your dirty bomb. I mean, it doesn't take a great scientist to work this kind of thing out. Yeah. But of course, that would be a weapon of terror. It's not a weapon of mass destruction, because when the rocket lands in northern Israel, it would only expose maybe a couple of villages to something, and that's terrible in and of itself. But it's not the same thing as World War III, because, see, when we think of nuclear weapons, we always think of the worst possible outcome, which is World War III. We never think about the little things that can go wrong, the small things that can happen. But getting back to the idea of Iran passing on actual operational nuclear weapons, if they had ever created a nuclear weapon, that would be almost like if you had like a kid, a toddler bully on the playpen, and you said, son, I know that you're having some problems on the playpen. Here, have a sledgehammer and go your hardest. The little kid will smash everything to pieces, not just the threat that you think is the threat that needs to be attacked. So again, you never hand over sensitive nuclear operational material to a non-state actor that you can't fully trust. Because again, not many people get this, and of course the media doesn't say it. There is a significant difference between Hezbollah and Iran. Hezbollah are Arab and Shia.
Yes.
Iran are Persian and Shia. Now, that may mean nothing to anyone because we just think, they're Shia, they're all the same. No, they're not. Culturally, the people from Hezbollah, in spite of their connections with Iran, are Lebanon first. They are ensconced in Beirut. They are a Lebanese political party, whether you like them or not. Their idea of the world is based on their position within southern Lebanon and their position vis-a-vis Israel. And whatever their connection with is to Iran, and whatever Iran's connection is back into Hezbollah, is completely opportunistic. It's really opportunistic, because if push ever came to shove, would a Persian society sacrifice themselves for the good of a non-state actor, a political party, I don't know, about 1,500 kilometres away from them, that are Arab?
Yeah, but they have been supplying them with all sorts of support, rockets.
Sure. But basically, when Hezbollah gets those rockets and those weapons, they march to their own beat. They're not being given spoon-fed commands. And here's a typical example of
but
where...
wouldn't the mullahs be saying, just as long here they are, you point them at Israel and fire them off?
Yeah. It's only because both the mullahs and Hezbollah have a similar enemy in Israel, but the enemies are seen differently from Tehran and from Beirut, or southern Beirut. They are not the same way. They don't see things exactly the same way. That's what makes this whole situation more complex. When you look at the screaming headline and you look at Donald Trump saying X, Y, and Z, they're trying to simplify a very complex picture. Invariably, everything that has been said publicly about the war up to now is wrong, and no one wants to admit to it because everyone loves a screaming headline. A screaming headline filled with BS is what sells a newspaper. It is not the truth. The truth is far more complex, and we don't deal with complexity. We just don't.
Well, why bother about a nuclear weapon when you either have stumbled across a much more significant weapon, the Strait of Hormuz?
Exactly right.
If they didn't know before, they certainly know now.
But Jeremy, as I've said on the program before, when I was working in the Middle East, we were running scenarios. Because, back in 2006 when I was actually in Abu Dhabi, there were huge tensions between the Iranians and the Americans over Iran. That little country that the Americans went in and broke. Right? So the Iranians rushed in because, of course, half of, or at least 70% of the Iranians are Arab but Shia, right? And, of course, that religious similarity is what everyone takes notice of. They don't take notice of the differences. So they say, the Iranians are coming in. And the Iranians were. They were delivering brown paper bags of money to various Shia mullahs inside Iran to tilt the balance of power against the Americans. So then we had, Then we had the problem was with the Iranians. What would they possibly do to protect their Iraqi assets if the Americans were to go hard, or if the Americans overstepped and were to go against the Iranians completely?
Yeah.
The only thing that we came up with was there's the Strait of Hormuz, they have enough military equipment, the IRGC alone could capture that area. Yeah. That was the truth back then. It was the truth back now. And just to put the point forward, we were very privileged in terms of being able to work with some of the Americans who were based in the UAE at the time. Yeah. And they knew exactly what we knew. They knew it even better than we knew because they were deploying forces in neighbouring Iraq at that time, and they were worried that if things spiralled out of control, the Iranians would take Hormuz and hold the world at ransom. Yeah. Now, what happened between 2006 and 2026 that all of a sudden America just forgot all about that period of history? Oh, I don't know anything about that. Oh, no. The Iranians surprised us. Rubbish.
Well, threats and opportunities, you'd be looking at those all the time, wouldn't you?
Well, yes, you would. And the thing is that Donald Trump has now politicized the Pentagon. He's politicized everything around him, the judiciary, the whole lot, the whole box and dice. So in actual fact, whatever Trump wants, he gets, and that's it.
Dr. John Bruni's here. Can you stay a while?
A little bit.
Okay.
You're listening to the Court of Public Opinion with Jeremy Cordeaux, where the time is 10 a.m. Australian Central Standard Time.
Hey! What's the weather for the weekend gonna be? Will it be hot, cold, rain, snow?
And the weather today in Adelaide, it will be a partly cloudy day.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you on. Brought to you on. Brought to you by RADI.
Dr. John Bruni from Sage International is going to stay for a little while, and Professor Plimer has just arrived. Let me tell you, whether you are building your first home or your second home or your third or maybe you're onto your 10th, I don't know. You could be a property developer. I don't know. No one likes extra scary costs, however. That's a common denominator. Rossdale Homes, they give you a fixed price guarantee, which is a nice, warm, cosy feeling. When you build something, trust. Well, I suppose when you do anything, trust is a must. And that's the guarantee, the fixed price contract, meaning only you can change the price. rossdalehomes.com.au. Check it out. You'll find them very good to deal with. Speaking of houses, if you're going to buy a house or you're selling a house, you'll be very interested in this guy. His name is Neil Jenman. Neil Jenman has written this. This is not his first book, not his first rodeo. Questions that every seller must ask. I get the feeling, just browsing through this, that Neil does not like the real estate industry very much. I don't know. Maybe, perhaps there's some history back there somewhere. Neil Jenman later. Isabella Taylor, that remarkable young lady. She's been a guest on this program before. She's going to drop by. And John Ovenden later on in the morning. And Professor Plimer right now. How are you, sir?
Very well. I did a podcast with Isabella earlier in the week, I think.
Oh, wonderful.
And I tell you what, it does give me hope for the future when you see bright young people like that who actually ask questions.
Yes.
And she's got a very good brain. It's wired the right way. It's wired to reject propaganda. So it gives me hope when I see young people like that.
Well, how can a young lady like that come through the system, the sausage machine? Because I think the whole thing is designed that all the kids in the class are supposed to be indoctrinated to the same extent in the same way, and then they'll all come out saying the same things and thinking the same things. But here is an independent kid, independent
She's probably
of mind.
genetically very lucky, having good parents and good grandparents
Yes.
who have actually pulled her up every time she says something and not allowed a nonsense to come out of her mouth. But she's a very impressive young lady.
John is fathering. Are they two girls or two?
No, one girl, one boy.
You find it easy, or is it a challenge?
It has its moments, but I love it. I mean, I suppose every parent will have their little hiccups ever so often, but the joys of having kids far outweigh anything that you go through.
But as the twig is bent, so shall grow the tree. That parenthood, it's a terribly onerous responsibility because you've got this malleable person that is going to come out wonderfully well or not.
I think that the secret, I mean, as we were talking about this young lady, I think the secret really is to ensure that the home life has stability and also a little bit of friction, creative friction. I always question my kids question me. And I think it's always great being able to sit around the kitchen table and have these debates. I came from a home that was full of those political arguments. My grandfather and I used to, literally fight quite loudly with each other over elements of history and so on and so forth. Yeah. Thankfully, I was mostly right. but I give my granddad props. He was pretty good too. But again, that little bit of creative friction between getting an idea and pulling it apart and putting it back together again always makes one, I suppose, think more flexibly.
Rupert Murdoch is fond of calling it creative tension. He applies it to his employees, probably more than his family. Now, Professor, is it true that Gina Rinehart is going to give Elon Musk an island? Did you see that?
She suggested that he should purchase that island for his SpaceX. It's not an island she owns. I know she did look at buying one of the islands off Queensland.
Yeah,
one of these resorts that had failed.
Yeah, they're very cheap. I can't understand exactly why the resorts... Beautiful places.
Well, they're cheap, but then the money starts to flow out when you've got to build something, when you've got to get there.
Yeah. And then you've got the rules and the regulations that control everything you do.
Yes, and I think if she gives him an island, it'll be the gift that keeps taking.
What's that? What's the thing you give somebody and...
an Indian giver?
No, you're cursed for life if somebody gives you this... just saying, anyway. It doesn't matter. Andrew Taylor, I heard him on 3AW this morning before coming in and starting this program. He seems to have thrown down the gauntlet to Pauline Hanson.
I saw that on Sky, which is the only channel I watch, except if the footy's on.
Yeah.
I think he's probably burning a few bridges. There is a reality, and that is that One Nation will no longer be at 3%. Somewhere along the line, they're going to have an arrangement, be it with preferences, be it on policy.
Yes.
And for him to attack One Nation on policy is a little bit rich, because he's a chap who's very confused about Paris, very confused about net zero, and very confused about energy costs.
What's to be confused about?
Well, they're all interrelated, but he wants to be half pregnant. So... He's claiming that the policy comes from one person. That's not true. Certainly on things like climate policy, Senator Malcolm Roberts has a lot to say on it.
Yes.
So I think there has to be a situation whereby they remain friends but at arm's length. And I think he's burning that a little bit too much. Now, there's a lot of angst because there are a large number of Liberal Party members are not renewing their membership and going across to One Nation. The former New South Wales Senator, Senator Holly Hughes, she did that. She was a Liberal senator and she's moved across to One Nation. We've had Barnaby Joyce move across from the Nats. So it's a difficult situation, I think.
Yeah, there's no denying the move is on. It's a question of whether it can be sustained through to the next election.
Well, that's always the problem, isn't it? To keep it going. It's a long time between the next election. With any side, anything can happen.
Yes.
I think a litmus test will be Victoria, but they've got their own special problems, which some of them are similar to the federal problems, and that's bankruptcy. And here you've got Victoria, which has banned the exploration for gas, yet it's pressured the federal government to actually have a gas policy with a reservation policy with gas coming from Queensland, which could be exported, coming down to Victoria. Now, there are two things wrong with that. Victoria hasn't drilled for its own gas, and it should, and there's a lot of gas there, and I've seen wells flaring in Gippsland. I know the Otway Basin. You could run the Portland smelter off Victorian gas. And the second thing is the pipeline capacity doesn't allow gas to come from Queensland to Victoria. So they're in a mess. Sort it out. Don't put pressure on the Labor government to force a gas policy change, and this gas policy actually enriches large industry, especially in New South Wales, where these union-run industries can actually have the energy to keep going. Now, New South Wales has got a massive gas resource at Narrabri. It's been 17 years now that they've been trying to get that off the ground, and Santos keep getting belted around the head every time. So what the unions are doing is saying, we'll pinch Queensland gas, we'll make sure some of it's reserved, it will come into our factories where we've got a lot of union members, and these factories won't close because of a lack of energy. And this to me is, and if I'm not a Queenslander, but if I were a Queenslander, I would be more paranoid than the normal Queenslander.
It surprises me to hear that the systems aren't compatible. But it reminds me of the railways.
Compatible. No, they weren't compatible for a very good reason. Victoria had a very large amount of gas that came out of the Bass Strait field.
Yeah.
That gas actually kept industry going in Victoria. It was a manufacturing state. That gas is now on the way down, but they didn't need to have pipelines going to other states. And they actually insisted that people have gas-fired stoves in the kitchen and gas heating. Yeah. I know when I lived in Melbourne, I've been punished and lived there 4 times, I know that we had to have gas heating.
Yeah.
You couldn't have any other sort of heating. That's because there's an abundance of gas. Now, every petajoule of gas you use, you have to replace it. Now, Victoria didn't do it. And they could have replaced it by drilling onshore in the Gippsland Basin, drilling onshore in the Otway Basin, or actually allowing fracking, especially offshore in the Gippsland area, where not only was the gas generated, it migrated and trapped. So Victoria's cooked its own goose, and I don't see that Australia or Queensland should actually bail them out.
Well, apparently you can't build a house in Victoria and facilitate any gas. You have to have electricity. They don't like you having gas appliances.
Well, therein lies another problem, that because brown coal is so evil, and when you burn it, it produces electricity at 3 cents a kilowatt hour, which is about a tenth of what Victorians pay now.
Yeah.
Because of that, they're going to hit the wall.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that Victoria can actually keep itself going on sea breezes and sunbeams. So they've drunk the Kool-Aid, and they believe that the gas of life, carbon dioxide, actually warms the planet. Well, we've got thousands of millions of years of data to show that that's not the case.
Did you see the story about the dinosaur bone that they found in Antarctica?
Well, I'm not surprised. The Antarctic rocks were once connected to South America, to Australia, to South Africa and to India, and we find dinosaur bones there. We also have coal deposits in Antarctica. We also have very ancient rocks, which are quite uranium-rich. Yeah. We also have modern rocks forming, such as in West Antarctica. We've got 150 geothermal areas sitting underneath the West Antarctic ice sheet. So if the ice sheet melts a little bit, people say, it's global warming. You can't melt a sheet from the bottom with warmer air on top of it. And if you warm air from -20 to -10, it's still not going to melt the ice. And underneath, when we have geothermal activity and volcanic activity, as we see on Iceland, we get a melting of the ice sheet. Now, we find the same in Greenland. In Greenland, we've got an ice sheet that does melt at times, and that's because the ice sheet sits on rocks which are quite radioactive. And when you have a radioactive breakdown of potassium, uranium and thorium, you not only create new elements and give out radioactive particles, but you actually give out heat. And so there are many things we don't get told, and I think it's because many of the activists either don't know it or don't want to tell us what it is.
Well, the journalist was quite surprised that the dinosaurs would have been in Antarctica.
It's not hard to surprise an ignorant journalist. Oh, sorry, I used the tautology, ignorant journalist.
Well, the guy, I guess he was a geologist or an explorer or something or other, he said, oh, no, 35 million years ago, it was a lush, green environment. It was more like South America. It was like a jungle. Now, you'd imagine that somebody would say to that, well, you mean Antarctica has changed so much in that time? Man's influence upon the environment back then would have been nothing?
Well, Antarctica and Australia pulled apart about 96 million years ago. Tasmania clung onto our coattails and we couldn't get rid of them. New Zealand pulled away also, and we have been able to get rid of them, push them out in the Pacific and give them their well-earned volcanoes and earthquakes. And South America pulled away a little bit later, and by the pulling away of South America, we set up a circumpolar current around Antarctica. So warm water from the tropics couldn't enter Antarctica, and we had a polar continent with no access to warm water, and it froze. Now, Antarctica geology is no different from that of southern Australia. The rocks that we find here in South Australia continue across into Antarctica. We can see great valleys of salt lakes in Western Australia, and when you join them back to Antarctica, these are glaciers. We see the dinosaur fossils, which we find around Phillip Island area in Victoria. The same rocks exist in Antarctica. So we've just broken apart continents. Now, that idea came out of a meteorologist in 1912, and that was the German Alfred Wegener. And Wegener argued on the basis of looking at ice, looking at old fossils, looking at, well, nothing else, a fossil has to be old, doesn't it? Looking at fossils, looking at glacial striations, and he used these down at Henley Beach and the ones down further south down the coast. Those striations are telling you which way the ice moves, and he was able to put up an idea that the continents were once joined and they've since pulled apart. Now, he was absolutely pilloried, especially during World War I, because he was German, and the second thing is that the ideas had no explanation. We didn't know a lot then, and he argued it was a rotational force that did it, but it wasn't. And so those ideas came up in 1912. Way ahead of his time, we resurrected those with returned soldiers who had been doing seaborne magnetics, looking for submarines, and they noticed that the ocean floor was striped and the magnetism reversed as you go further out from the centre of the ocean. You have one as normal magnetised, the next layer is reverse magnetised, and they were able to put together a story of continental drift, something that Wegener put together in 1912. Now, that's the story of science. You find that many lone warriors, many sceptics, are those who are pushed out on the ice, and Wegener died on the ice in Greenland, but pushed out on the ice and left there for decades, and then the idea is resurrected with new data or new thinking. And that, I think, is what's going to happen with a lot of this work in Antarctica, because that shows us that we've had multiple changes in climate, that Antarctica was once tropical, that Antarctica geologically is very similar to Patagonia and very similar to parts of Tasmania and parts of Victoria and South Australia and Western Australia and parts of the Cape Town area in South Africa. So it takes time often for ideas to change and to cement. Now, with climate change, the first time we've ever had an idea that's based on political propaganda. Scientific ideas are based on fads and fashions and often fools, and these are cliques of scientists. You've only got to go to a conference and see there's that group there that are following that idea, there's this group here that are following that idea, and they compete, they pillory each other. That's the way science works. But we've never had science in the past deal with an idea for which there is no evidence, and secondly, for which the politics have been involved.
Yeah,
we've never had it with nuclear science. We've never had it with anything.
But there's real evidence that the world is changing, has always changed.
Well, always changed. I would be incredibly worried about the future of this planet if it didn't change. It is a dynamic planet, and the dynamic side of the planet is driven by the planet cooling down, and it's been cooling down for 4,500 million years. I will be worried in about 5 billion years' time because it'll stop cooling down.
Well, we don't have much to worry about.
Well, some of us might be there. You never know. But I will be worried if this planet didn't change. Now, we've had different atmospheres in the planet. The first atmosphere was rich in hydrogen and helium. It didn't last very long. The second atmosphere, which was for the bulk of time, was a carbon dioxide-rich atmosphere, thousands of times richer than today's atmosphere. And that atmosphere existed until about 500 million years ago, when we had critters that started to pull carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and put them into shells and limestone and into life. And we ended up with our third atmosphere, which is an oxygen-bearing atmosphere. And we are evolving, and you can see it with the decrease in carbon dioxide over the last 500 million years. We are dangerously low, and we are evolving into our fourth atmosphere, which will be a nitrogen-rich atmosphere, and basically only bacterial life will survive. So these changes are quite normal.
Yeah. There's a
sorry, Jeremy, if you don't mind. Interesting. I've heard from a colleague of mine quite some time ago. The explanation for global warming may be because of volcanism under, say, the Arctic Sea. So the upwelling of hot water has melted the ice, and so therefore you've got a thinning of the ice cap. You also have very unusual weather patterns starting to circulate in Europe, and apparently, according to the meteorologists, we have this super El Nino, which is going to make its presence felt this coming summer. What do you account for these sorts of changes from a geological perspective? I mean, we know what the meteorologists say, but what do you say?
Well, the first thing is you have high-quality friends because they are on the money. In the Arctic Sea, you've got a spreading centre where you're pulling apart the ocean called the Gakkel Ridge, and there we have submarine volcanoes. These submarine volcanoes are putting a huge amount of heat into the atmosphere. The volcanic rocks there, and we've measured them, have 13.5% by weight of carbon dioxide in the lava. That dissolves in basal seawater, and when that seawater eventually gets to the tropics and is upwelled, it degasses carbon dioxide. The second thing is that we have the oceans being pulled apart. This is one of Wegener's ideas. He fitted the continents back together again. They are being pulled apart. We have mid-ocean ridges. We've measured more than 3.4 million volcanoes in the Pacific Ocean. These volcanoes are leaking out carbon dioxide. The modern volcanoes are leaking out heat. Now, in the Pacific, when you have a volcanic eruption, you don't see it. But you can measure it with a small amount of earthquake activity. As you push apart rocks as the lava rises, you get breakage of rocks and earthquakes. And so we've been able to measure earthquake swarms, and that correlates very well with El Nino events.
Right.
Now, if you want an El Nino event, you need to heat seawater. How do you heat seawater? Well, that's to put many cubic kilometres of molten rock at 1,200 degrees Celsius into the sea, which is at 2 degrees Celsius. You obviously have to take heat from the lava into the sea. That warm water rises, and that gives you an equatorial El Nino effect. So there is a lot of work in volcanology which is suggesting, well, wait a minute, we're on a planet that's cooling down. This is part of the cooling process. 70% of the surface of the Earth are the oceans. So more than 70% of the Earth's heat that we lose goes into the oceans because the thin crust is in the oceans and the thick crust is on the continents. But that's totally ignored by the climate people. It's totally ignored by the meteorologists because it doesn't fit the story. And the planet is losing heat and has been for a very long period of time. We see it under the ice in Antarctica and Greenland. We see it in the oceans. Now, I've seen various calculations, but I wouldn't hang my hat on any of them, but it's anything from 3% to 20% of the heat that we put into the atmosphere actually comes from volcanic activity beneath the oceans.
Professor, you said it doesn't fit the story. Who wrote the story?
Well, the story was written by a team of people who are into controlling you. I suspect a lot of the story came out of the Soviet Union or out of Russia and has continued. And the story is that you filthy capitalists are filling the atmosphere with a poisonous gas which is going to create a catastrophic climate change. Oh, by the way, we'll keep smelting and we'll keep pumping out carbon dioxide. And by the way, we'll keep selling you material such as wind turbines and solar panels. So I think it's been and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I think it's a very, very good economic model to be able to make sure that your military opponent has higher costs through energy, and all your costs are related to energy. This piece of beautiful cake which I want to attack in front of me, you made that using energy. You grew the grain using energy. You grew the sugar for the icing using energy. So everything we do on this planet is related to energy. And so if you can weaken your opponent by having their energy costs sparse or very expensive, you are winning the long-term political battle. There's also an interior battle that goes on. If you can destroy the morale of your opponent, then any long-term political, social or moral battles become easier. And I think that's what's happened over the last 30 or 40 years. We've actually been attacked from within and from without, and we've got, to use the term, the useful idiots there who are following this. Now, we have a very large number of people with a self-interest, and these are in the climate institutes, and we have them in every university in the country, and these people are doing enormous amounts of research, generously funded by we, the taxpayer, and they are telling us that the planet is changing. Yeah. Well, we know that anyway.
Yeah.
Now, I'm
but
not...
you say it's cooling, and they say it's warming.
Well, it depends upon the time period you look at. If you look at the last 30 years, the planet has been warming. If you look at the last 4,000 years, the planet is cooling. It depends upon time. So if someone says, oh, this is the hottest summer ever, you've got to say, when?
Yeah. So it's wide open to manipulation.
Of course it is, because it was much hotter in medieval times. It was 5 degrees warmer than now. It was about 4 degrees warmer than now in the times of Jesus. It was about 4 degrees warmer in Minoan times, and between those we had times which were much colder.
Yeah.
And they were given the unusual names of the Little Ice Age because it was cold.
There was a fellow called Robert Lacey. We used to talk to him when I was at 5D, and he was a royal author. He did biographies of the royal family. Mm-hmm. And he had an interest in these matters. And he wrote a book. Caroline, you remember Robert Lacey's book? What was it called? The World 1,000 Years Ago or something? Where he described...
The year 1000.
Well, that's the time you would
the year 1000.
Yeah.
And he said that they were growing pineapples in England.
Yes.
And Australia was a rainforest. Oh. Australia was a rainforest.
Well, we have very good evidence for that. We have it from history. We have it from the harvests of grain. In that time in Europe, we had 2 grain harvests a year, and there was so much wealth generated that we spent that wealth building our great institutions like the monasteries and cathedrals and universities and magnificent churches. We have very good records. That was a warm period of time. Earlier than that, it was the Dark Ages when it was cold. Then we had the Roman times when it was warm. And we know that. The Romans kept very good records of their salt harvests, their grain harvests, and they were growing grapes up in northern England, in Yorkshire. Well, England does grow grapes, and they try to make wine, but you wouldn't feed it to a dying donkey. And they grew olives as far up the Rhine River as Bonn. It was much warmer, and we see it from the clothing they wore.
Well, what's going on in Europe now with this? They keep on saying this is the hottest day that we've ever had. It's 40 degrees or 41 degrees. It's a fairly warm day by Adelaide standards if we've got middle of summer or something. How would you pacify the people who are getting all hot and bothered?
I would say look at history. Go back and look in the medieval warming. There were periods of time when it was warmer than that. Go back and look at the proxies to give you the warmth in Greek and Roman times. It was much warmer than that. Go back in archaeological times, say 10,000 years. just after the Younger Dryas. We had which was from 12,500 to 11,700 years ago. We had a warming period, and that warming, we had a 15 degrees Celsius temperature rise in 10 years. So if you want to worry about warming, you can't look at the temperature you measure today. You've got to look at that over time and see where it fits into the cycles. And we have cycles of warming and cycles of cooling, and most of them are related to how far we are away from the sun and how much energy the sun's putting out, which is variable. There are other factors, where the continents lie and what's happening in the galaxy. So you can't just look at a number alone and say, oh, my God, we'll all fry and die. Now, Europe's problem is that, and I've lived in Munich. It's very cold in Munich. The houses there are built to handle the cold, and they are not built to handle warm days. You have smaller windows. You can't get much air circulation. There's no such thing as an air conditioner. No. All you need to do is to go down to the Isar River and strip off and have a swim, because it's warm, unseasonably warm, except it's summer when you get these spikes of warmth. Now, we've seen that even through the Little Ice Age. We had periods when it was very warm for short periods of time. So making a statement like that shows that you have no knowledge of history and you just don't know how science works.
Isabella Taylor has arrived. Isabella, and you brought your whole family.
Yes, I brought my mum and my grandparents. A lot of them are fans of your work, and people around the dining room table stay, so I thought they could come and have a listen.
That's wonderful. Everyone's welcome, and there's lots of cake and biscuits and everything. But
and I did a podcast a week ago.
What was the podcast about?
Ask the podcaster. He interviewed me.
Yes, so a couple of days ago, I think it was, I interviewed Professor Plimer on his views on climate change, which he's very eloquently laid out for you today, and what's happening in the world right now, and even some other areas like the data centres being introduced in Australia, and his thoughts on that, to take that to the audience on social media and YouTube.
Was this your Inspired By series?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Such an impressive young lady. How old are you now? Because we the first time you came on this show, I think you were 14?
I think,
or maybe younger.
I think I was 8, but I'm not
8.
sure. I know I interviewed you around that time. I'm 14 now, though, yes.
So you're 14 now? Mm-hmm. Well, you're very grown up for 14.
Oh, thank you.
Your mother and father are going to have to lock you up fairly soon, I would imagine. But we, in talking about education and where the kids of today are going and who's taking them there and what's going to be there when they get there, you seem to have broken the mould. You've come through the system, very intelligent, open-minded, clever. How do you get on at school? Do they like this sort of individuality?
I don't think any large group of people likes a form of individuality, because sometimes it's hard for them to grasp and how to accept that when it's not probably more normal to be the cookie cutter sort of design of child.
Yeah.
But I definitely just want to put this out there, that if the best thing you can do for your kids is when you go to school, you have the standard curriculum, and compared to, say, from 50 years ago today, that has been incredibly, in blatant words, dumbed down to standard forms of education. You can kind of see this because when I was in primary school, we had grouped classes where, there'd be the smarter group of kids, there was an average class, and there was a class for kids who were struggling. And that worked well for every single student because you were working with kids at your level and teachers that could support you. And then as soon as you get to high school, you get put into classes where you're with groups of people from all walks of life, and that's great. It's a great social experience. But my biggest tip for parents is if you want your child to get ahead in maths or science, you have to do things outside of school to help further that education. And just if your kids are passionate about something, don't block it, because 50 years ago it was considered, dangerous to enter a career in the arts. But now with the way AI is going, if your kid has a spark for that, that might just be what makes them something that's not replaceable in the future. So if we can have the lack of fear to put ourselves out there, and that's what I try and do with the project, it can be something that makes our future a lot more interesting and less replaceable.
How many interviews have you done now over the years?
If I just say a rough number, about 40.
Yeah, right.
And it's changed a lot, and that's just with the way the audience is growing and the way the world is going. We used to religiously put 26-minute episodes out onto YouTube and Channel 41 in Melbourne and Channel 41 in Adelaide and Channel 31 in Melbourne. But as we've watched over time, people's attention spans have gotten shorter, so we're starting to put more of our energy into short bursts of the interviews onto social media. And we're finding that it's a very new market. It's very difficult to navigate, but it's turning out to being more successful.
But you can do a lot to shape it. It's very malleable at the moment. It's growing, and nobody quite knows exactly what he or she is doing. It's a living, evolving thing, this social media. People are frightened of it, or people love it. People are addicted to it. It's a very interesting moment in communications. What was that one you sent me the other day? You were standing up there. It looked like you were in a competition.
Oh, I was at the national final for the Legacy Junior Public Speaking Award last November, where I came second, which was a fantastic experience. And I know
you didn't come first.
It had some very great speakers, and I have to say it was a very difficult decision for the judges, but I'm just so grateful to have had the opportunity to have participated in such an interesting competition where so many different ideas were spoken and listened to.
Yeah.
And I know, Jeremy, you're a ward of Legacy, so it's always great to talk about the competition with you. But this year, more recently, I helped MC the first round of it with the lovely Suzanne Moorhead, who's from Legacy. She helps host these events, and it's so great for young people to have this opportunity to develop these public speaking skills, and I'm going to be doing that again with the state final this August.
Do you pick a topic?
So you pick a topic based on the legacy ideals of mateship, personal sacrifice, voluntary service, the need for remembrance, and social justice. And then you can speak for 5 minutes on anything in and around those topics. You might choose one, you might choose five. But the real determiner for these sorts of competitions is the impromptu speech, and you only get 5 minutes to prepare for that, and you only find out the topic 5 minutes before. And then you have to talk for 2 minutes about that topic that you've only had 5 minutes to prepare for.
And what's your technique? How do you handle it?
Read the headlines, read the newspapers, because the more individual and fresh your ideas can be, and how you can develop your individual thought. Most people, you get the topic social media. The first 5 people are going to go up there and they're going to talk about kids are destroyed by these addicting algorithms. And we've heard that. It's been cookie-cutted into everybody's brain from social media, the news, the newspapers. But maybe you can talk about, why are we banning social media when it's the algorithms that are a problem? And you propose, say, a model where they don't make algorithms so that, say, for gambling advertisements, they don't directly target people who are gambling addicts based off of what they've liked on social media. Social media knows you better than anyone in your whole family just after you liking 300 posts. And so they can target you with whatever ads they're paid to sell.
So you've trained yourself to be able to stand up and with a couple of minutes preparation, talk on any subject at all.
I would like to think so. Obviously, some would be
bloody clever,
easier than others based on like what you talk about at home.
I mean,
a lot.
you and the professor. When I look around this room, we've got Tony Denton, we've got John Bruni and Gary and Isabella and the professor on the other side of the table. Imagine the collective IQ of all you people. I mean, what a brains, what a brains trust. So it puts a great responsibility on you to do something incredible with your life. What do you want to do?
I definitely want to pursue a career in the media, whether that's, sharing my thoughts and ideas through songwriting, interviews, poetry, writing.
Well, you can do it all. You can do it all. You can take your pick.
I think that is the way it's going, and creative expression is definitely the way to go as a young person, because, you go onto AI, it can solve any maths problem generally without mistakes in seconds. And while some people may find it rewarding to do that, we've got to start thinking of ways to take our passions into more humanly creative pursuits. We had a debate recently where we had to argue, my school had to argue at least, that government should do nothing to curb the impact that AI has on creative industries. And we won that debate by a significant margin because we fleshed out the point that AI cannot directly create anything by itself. The actual issue is copyright laws. And you can look at someone like Taylor Swift. She's copyrighted the Hey It's Taylor Swift line and her bodysuit with the guitar. And so now that intellectual property that was her creative idea has been copyrighted. And what we said, it's actually the copyright laws. AI can't create anything. Us humans can create anything just out of an experience, and AI can't do that.
Yeah. I wonder what you can't copyright. They tell me that Harley Davidson have the sound of their exhaust copyright. Weird.
Yeah, it would all be to do with, I guess, the type of fuel and how it reacts with what's inside the bike. But yeah, you do get into more interesting topics like that. But I think the fundamental thing is be open to what the future has. There's no point in resisting it because as one person, you cannot do anything to change what is going to happen. You can only, carve your own path that you're specifically venturing in.
We had a bloke on the air 2 or 3 weeks ago by the name of Professor Toby Walsh, who is professor at the University of New South Wales. You know him?
I podcasted with him, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's great.
Fascinating fellow.
He is.
And his specialty is AI. And he doesn't seem to be particularly worried about it being the wild, untamed, loose cannon, to mix my metaphors, that most people think it could be, if it isn't. Professor?
My concern with AI is we've first got to have intelligence in society before we can think about AI.
Well, how we do that seems like a larger task.
Well, I think we're seeing it here today. I mean, we have your family are here, and I'm sure that one of the reasons, and we were discussing this off air before you came in, one of the reasons that you're so articulate and a critical thinker is the support that you've had from your family and the way your family and you sit around the kitchen table and discuss matters. And you were talking about John arguing with your grandfather.
All the time.
This
But it was
is
great.
really important to have that foundation to be a critical thinker. It's not criticising anyone in your family. It's actually using your brain.
Critical thinking. Do they teach it, or are you born with it?
They try to teach it at schools. It's actually one of the new sort of ventures they have with subjects. We had a class in 7th grade called Student Agency, and it was where you could pursue anything for the time you had that class, but you had to learn something out of it. And that's commonly echoed in the Year 11 and Year 10 EIF and AIF. But I think it really comes from meeting lots of people, observing and experiencing your own situations and learning how to come to conclusions and analyse something from multiple perspectives rather than being emotionally embroiled in it.
Now, you go to Seymour, don't you?
Yes, I do.
That's just around the corner.
Yes, it is. I was driving past it during my holidays, which I wasn't too jazzed about.
Oh, well. How many more years have you got?
I have 3 and a bit more years, which is crazy to say because it feels just like yesterday that I was still in primary school. But yeah, it's gone very quickly.
Yeah, it must mean you're having fun. Do you find it easy or challenging?
It depends what aspect. When I take a class called entrepreneurship where we do business, and I find that quite simple.
How do you teach entrepreneurship?
I don't think you can. They try to, and I find it. I really enjoy it as a class because it's my whole family's like life. We've been in business for many, many years. And so it's interesting to see how their version of teaching it. It's all very, studying and like understanding the flywheel effect and the 4 Ps of advertising. And while that is important, the best way, in my opinion, to study entrepreneurship is to just go out there and start a business.
What are the 4 Ps of advertising?
Product, place, promotion, and something else.
Yeah.
That was last semester. I've been on 3 weeks of holidays and I've gotten a bit slack. But
well, you've got to go put yourself into neutral just to recharge the batteries.
And then we also learnt about the difference between point of difference and competitive advantage, and how you've got to understand both to create a successful business. But One thing I find really interesting at school, and I know Professor Plimer will be able to understand this, is whenever the topic of climate change is brought up, or any topic really that has a political standing, and obviously climate change shouldn't have a political standing because it's a science and not...
No, it's a religion.
It
They've
is.
turned it into
very
a religion.
much is, because whenever you say, well, it's normal for the climate to change. I started saying this one time, and I was actually incredibly ostracized by a student that said, but no, it's being sped up way more than it should be for the time that it's experiencing. I'm like, well, how can you predict that?
And how can you prove it?
There's no statistics ever mentioned when they talk about climate change. And one thing that our teacher said directly after this is my history teacher. He's a great teacher. He said, my job isn't to influence what opinions you have, but it's to present you with all the facts and help you come to your own decisions. And I think we need more teachers like that, because school is a place for education, but it's not a place for indoctrination. They're taking advantage of the 7 hours they have of a day with young families. And I come home and I say things to my mum. And one of those things was, you know, when you talk about time and you say AD and BC, it's now changed to BCE, so before Common Era. And
why?
Because not everyone's religious, and why is it fair to talk about time if it's religiously based? And I come home and I fully try and justify this to my mum.
Now, you go to a private school.
Yes.
Private school is better?
It depends on what you're talking about. I would say some things don't change and some things do.
Okay.
And the students don't change. There's always going to be, you know, social tensions. But I think what I find is I really enjoy going to an all-girls school. You don't have a distraction of boys, I guess, and you have time to, you know, explore your interests without judgment. But there's always going to be judgment anyway. There's just slightly less of it.
Okay, and you're an only child.
Yes.
Do you think that makes a difference?
Yes.
I think it does, but I think, yeah. I
Does that mean you're precocious, John?
Just going on my background, I have to say I used to love engaging with other adults. I'm sure you find the same thing.
Yeah, well, you grow up.
Your own peer group is a little alien from you, but the people who are older than you, your parents' age, your grandparents' age,
you enjoy interacting with.
I mean, that's been my journey for my whole life. I enjoy the company of older people.
I can totally relate to that. My mum works in retirement. She sells the units down at a retirement village. Yes. And I love spending time with the people that come through there. I love talking to them. And I don't find it's almost like a language barrier. We both speak English, but you never see older people and younger people talking together. And I think one of the things about being an only child is I've been raised in an environment where I've been talking to primarily people over 30, and it's been one of the best experiences. And even with the Inspired by TV show and podcast, being able to talk to people like Professor Plimer has been so enlightening for me, and I don't think that I would be the same person without those experiences.
Well, I was one of three, highly competitive. When I had a younger brother who went at primary school to a selective school for the ultra bright. I had an older sister who was the firstborn, and so she was a bit spoilt. It was competitive, and it was competitive all through school and all through university. And the bottom line is I won. and there is nothing wrong with having competition.
And there's nothing better than winning.
It gives you a sweet taste. So I think being a sibling with others in a highly competitive environment really did help my life. I also had the wonderful situation of some very good mentors, both at school and at university, and got in with the right crowd as a young person. So it wasn't a case of luck, it was a case of actually consciously being forced to compete, be it in sport or be it in academic studies. Everything was competitive.
But actually, just touching on that, as an only child, and I'm sure you find the same thing, being among older people makes you want to lift your game. You're never like, oh, well, I'm just watching some fluff on TV and talking about weird stuff. You know, like to your peers, you're engaging more mature people, which forces you into a more mature form of speech and a more mature form of engagement, which I think is the thing that, not without, dissing the competition, the interfamily competition, but I think that it's a sort of competition in a sense, because if you're the only young person in the room and you can hold your own against far older, smarter people who have lived their life, that's a talent in itself, and it is also driven by a sense of competition because you want to be like them.
Why don't you guys all get together and write a wonderful book on how to bring up children and how
From the perspectives of all
a
generations.
formula? Yeah, well, something nice and simple and straightforward that we ordinary people can follow.
Yeah, that's right. 3 generations this year. Yep.
By the way, at your school, did they do this silly welcome to country and have 3 flags and all that crap?
Yes. I don't want to say too much about that personally.
I do.
Just I'll let the other gentlemen have their opinions on that.
All right, well, think about that for a second. Let me expand the group. I put a call into Neil Jenman, who's very kindly sent me his new book with 3 elastic bands around it. I'm not sure. I'll take
He doesn't want you to read that book.
Well, it's about real estate. And I think at this particular time in our history and our development, you couldn't find a more important subject. Well, depending on where you are in the home situation, I saw that the Hutt Street Centre for the homeless has had its requirements or its facilities in demand, and it's gone up something like 34% in the last 12 months, where people just have no home. And we see today that the rents around Australia are through the roof. All sorts of interesting things are happening. We won't get into perhaps we will get into how to avoid or maybe go back to a better arrangement. Neil, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Jeremy. Yes, I am.
Wonderful to talk to you. How to Avoid Costly Mistakes is the subtitle of your book, and sell your home for more. So this is because you've written both sides of the dilemma.
Equation.
Yeah, both sides of the equation, the buying and the selling. I'm not sure which I would like to be on at the moment. It's all very confusing. Do you see a way through this?
Yeah, well, I do. And the most important thing is to just do a little bit of research before you go out there into the market. I would say, without exaggerating whatsoever, that 95% of people do not get the best result when they buy or sell real estate. When they're buying, they often pay more than they should. And when they're selling, almost 100% of sellers are getting ripped off these days because of the uniquely Australian scam called VPA, which stands for Vendor Pays Advertising. And honestly, Jeremy, it is just sickening.
But hasn't that always been the case, that the vendor, they say, here is your advertising budget?
No. Do you know there's 195 countries in the world, and Australia is the only country where sellers are asked to pay advertising money in advance of their homes being sold. So if their homes don't sell, let's say an elderly widow decides she wants to sell her home because she wants to help out her children and her grandchildren get a foot into the market, which is hard for first home buyers these days. So the agent comes out and says, I think I can get you $2 million. So the lady says, that's wonderful. Well, at that rate, I can help all my grandchildren, I can help everybody, and I can buy a place for myself. Everything will be wonderful. So she puts the house on the market and then finds out afterwards that, I can only get $1.5 million. Okay, no, thank you, I won't sell. But then she's got a bill for $10,000 for advertising. And if she doesn't pay it, some agents can, and there's another company now that use this pay later scheme, can put a caveat on her home so she can never sell it to anybody. And unless she pays that $10,000, it's monumentally unfair. I mean, if there was one thing I could have a wish right away to ban, is make it just the way it should be in all the other countries in the world, where people do not have to pay anything until such times as their homes are sold. And people, what is my house really fair enough? Shouldn't I pay for the advertising? Excuse me. Everybody knows within the real estate industry, Jeremy. And remember, I've worked in the real estate industry all my life, and I'm old now, just like you and I are both old. Okay, so
I refuse not only to get old, I refuse to grow up.
Well. I tell you what, just to tell you, Clint Eastwood's 96 or something. 95,
yeah.
I love what he said. Just to tell you, I love what he said. He said, I refuse to let the old man in.
Yes. In fact, I think he wrote a song. It came from a movie called Mule, I think. And it was a song, a well-received song called Don't Let the Old Man In. It's very true. Yeah. Well, around this table, I've got Professor Ian Plimer. And
Yes.
Isabella Taylor, who is 14.
14.
14 years old and as
Yes.
smart as a whip.
Yes.
And Tony's just walked out of the room, and Dr. John Bruni is gone for a cup of
Yes.
coffee or something.
Yes.
So we've all got a certain experience in houses.
Yes.
We've all bought and we've all sold, I gather.
So you've all been ripped off at some stage.
We've all been ripped off. And I love the other book that you put out called Don't Sign Anything.
Yes, yes. Well,
how do you avoid that? They say,
Well, because
here's your sales agreement. Sign it.
No, you say, no. I'm not signing until I know that I'm safe. Until this business of we've got buyers waiting. You see this all the time.
Yes,
You get
yes.
a flyer and you've got buyers waiting. So then you call the agent and they say, give us $10,000 so we can find some buyers. But didn't you say you've got buyers waiting?
You don't paint a very flattering picture of the real estate industry. Isabella, are you worried about the future ahead of you? You're going to have to go through all of this. You're going to have to buy a unit or a house, and it looks like it's going to get harder and harder.
I think,
the prices are coming down a little bit now.
It's very interesting. My mum works in real estate, so I help her sell the houses that our family builds. And
Yes.
I've seen over the past, I think it's 3 years, we've built a few lots. It was very, like when the property market was very hot, it was easy to sell homes. But you can see generally with the market, it's very difficult now because people are scared. People don't know where the market's going to go. It's holding, and Adelaide's the only state in Australia where it's holding like it is. Everywhere else has gone down after the federal government's changes they've made. And so it's a really difficult time, and I don't know where it's going to go, but I think if we can have a good government that can spend money and save money correctly and get us out of the monumentous debt that we are in, it will be much easier for all Australians.
And get away from the ideology which seems to drive this government more than anything else. But more importantly, when you go to an election and you promise that you're not going to touch capital gains tax and you are not going to do anything about negative gearing, and then you go ahead and do it. I mean, that's terrible. What do you think of the current arrangement, Neil?
I think, and I'm going to disagree with you on this because there is no way, and this is what happened before with Bill Shorten. He said, look, when I get in, he said, I'll probably do something with negative gearing and capital gains tax.
Well, that was honest.
Well, yes, but look where he went. Honest politicians, they're like honest real estate. They don't succeed. So the fact is, what Albo has done, as much as it's upset the wealthy people like me who've got plenty of products. I said to Tanya Plibersek on SBS's Dateline show or whatever it was one night, I said, tax me more. I've got 30 investment properties. Hit me harder. I know I've worked hard and all these things I've got up and I've had cold showers in the morning and I've worked 14, 16-hour days. But I've been fortunate in my life, Jeremy. I really have. When I bought my first home, the lady that was mentioning a moment ago about how tough it is, when I bought my first home, I paid $28,000 for it, and my annual income was $30,000. Now, you show me anybody that can do that almost anywhere in Australia today, it's impossible. And, people saying, oh, well, it was always been tough. We had high interest rates and all these sort of things. No, we had it a lot easier. We really do. It's really tough for people today. I wish we could. I think of the first responders and the nurses that look after people in hospitals and the people that dedicate themselves to looking after other people in our society and how they don't get a chance. And yet we see books in the bookshop saying, oh, buy 50 houses by the time you're 20 and do 25 or something like this, and how to get rich in real estate. I was going to write a book with this title. You said you don't like the title, don't say anything. Well, here's one for you. Give up work, invest in real estate, die of shame.
Oh,
but the publishers wouldn't take it, though.
I don't think you'd sell many of those. Professor, what do you think?
Well, I have a different view. I finished last week a book called Gold, Everything That You Need to Know.
Yes.
So there are other assets besides real estate, and gold has only got a 10,000-year history. And if you spread assets, partly real estate, partly bullion, cash, shares, then I think you're buffered against some of the great changes that we see. And my wife and I were purchasing a waterfront place in Newcastle at 17.9% interest rates in Paul Keating's time.
Yes.
And we've, like many people our age, and we're both in our 80s, it's been quite a haul. We also own a few houses, but we also own other assets, which I'm quietly giving away. So I think balancing a portfolio rather than only being in real estate is probably a more secure way to go.
No, spread the risk.
Of course.
Spread the risk, yes.
But still, don't you, Professor, don't you also feel a tad, a bit of empathy, I'm not even saying sympathy, but empathy to some young people today who, paramedics, save people's lives and then go home and find that their rent has gone up. I had somebody the other day, their rent went up in Melbourne, their rent went up from $500 a week to $800 a week.
No, I don't feel empathy. I actually feel really angry because we have senior public servants in Canberra who are earning $500,000 a year who are not doing anything with people. It's generally against people. And yet we have those at the front line, the AMBOs, the police,
yes,
people in the military, etc., who are struggling in life. And
yes,
they are the people who get literally shot at. They are the people who carry huge burdens, and we are not looking after them well enough. So I think we've got a very disjointed society at present. I cannot see that you can justify a senior public servant in Canberra earning $800,000 a year. I just see that that's absolutely and totally wrong, and my solution, which I've discussed on this program a number of times, is to decentralise. Put the Department of Treasury at Gladstone, where we make a lot of money, the Department of Finance at Port Hedon, where we make a lot of money, Department of Infrastructure at Rabbit Flat in Northern Territory, where we have no infrastructure, Department of Water at Wilcannia, where long-term employees will see a flood every 15 years, Department of Ageing, say at a town which is declining like Broken Hill.
Oh, courageous, Minister, courageous.
Oh, thank you, Sir Humphrey.
I've got a question that's bursting out of me.
Mm.
Why don't you go into politics and fix these things?
Well, I'm too old. I have been offered a Senate seat, which I would have won, but I'm too old for it. And the third thing is that I would go down in income enormously. I can't see the point in going down that much in income.
You're not going to sell the Bentley, though, are you?
No, I won't be selling the Bentley. The Bentley's my long-distance driving car.
Yeah.
It's only done 100,000 in 4 years.
Okay, that's a respectable mileage.
Yeah, that all. Yes. Well,
yeah.
I drive to Melbourne a lot. I drive to Broken Hill a lot, and then I've got another vehicle I use in Broken Hill, which is a 60-year-old rally car. Around town, we've got a couple of Mercs that we drive. So I like to be buying fossil fuels and burning them. And hearing the noise they make when you burn them.
Crackling. Neil, go on.
Yes. I was just laughing. I was like, what about writing a book then and sharing these ideas with the rest of us? Because I like some of your ideas. I like what you're saying.
Well, you've written, I don't know how many books you've written, Professor.
I've just finished the 17th.
17th book.
Yes.
So his thoughts are well and truly out there.
So, can you give me his name again, please?
Professor Ian Plimer.
How do you spell the surname?
Plimer.
Ian Plimer.
Look it up. My publisher is Connaught Court in Brisbane.
Okay.
Although it's not been the only publisher. I've had Random House. I actually published a book once with the ABC.
Ian, which is your best book?
A book that came out in 2020 called Green Murder. There was a book I put out in 1993 on religious fundamentalism. I called that one Telling Lies for God. That was a good book.
Ian, I will buy all your books.
And the bestseller is not my best book, but it was a book called Heaven and Earth, and I sold 150,000 copies worldwide with that book.
Well, that's fantastic. So I've come on the program today to promote my book and ended up promoting all your books. That's fantastic.
Well, listen, Neil.
No, but they're probably more worthy.
I'm
happy to concede that.
Everyone is worthy. I've got to ask you, Neil.
Yes.
Negative gearing. Negative gearing, as I understand it, came about in 1936 when a lot of our tax law was being written. A lot of tax law. But negative gearing was introduced to do something about a housing shortage in that year. Now, I can't, and it did work. It worked Now, I can't understand a government introducing negative gearing to fix a housing problem. Then years later, another government comes in and says, we'll get rid of negative gearing to fix a housing problem. I can't see how that works.
I know. Well, things aren't working, are they? And
No.
although I do believe that the first home buyers of Australians today, and I've been saying this now for the last 20 years, I've got the footprints of investors on their backs in the stampede to buy homes. And I just really do. You know, to use a home should be a right, like food. You know, food should be a right, like the safety should be a right. And I just think that this has been denied for so many people today. That's all. I wish we could do more to get somebody into a home. You know, just give them a hand and say, well, look, you can get into this home, but you're not allowed to profit from it or sell from it. I think it is wrong somehow, and I don't know the solutions to it, but I think it is wrong to see so many people making so many hundreds of thousands of dollars out of real estate while other people can't even get a foot in the door. You know, Gandhi said that there are 7 things in life that will destroy us, and the first is wealth without work. Yeah. And I see a lot of people getting wealth without work, and I see a lot of people that are working hard not getting the wealth. That's what I see.
What about
and I see it in the real estate?
They talk about intergenerational equity, yes. Fairness. It strikes me as strange when I read that this is the generation. This is, well, your generation, Isabella, coming up. You will be the first generation to be denied the things that my generation
took for granted.
Not only took for granted, but exploited. And we were talking about the fact that earlier my mother was a widow, a war widow, and if it hadn't been for Legacy, who were very supportive of my mother and the 2 kids.
Yes.
So life was tough. And I think, Professor, your background was tough, but because of the age in which we grew up, there were advantages that we could take. Perhaps we took them for granted, I don't know. But there were things we could do to provide for our future. This generation is going to find it a hell of a lot harder, and I don't think we should deny them the opportunities that we had.
Well, Legacy looked after your mum. But I'm saying, which is just terrific, because I have a lot of time for Legacy myself. My grandfather had his 21st birthday on the hills of Country. So I'm well aware of the sacrifices that were made by not just the people that went overseas, but that stayed home as well.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, but who's here today to help our first home buyers properly? Every time they make a first home buyers grant or do something like that, it just pushes the prices up even more and makes it even harder. It's all like counterproductive. But we really should be thinking first and primarily about the most important people in our society. And I believe the most important people in our society are not the ones that Ian just mentioned about these senior public servants earning $800,000 a year. They're the paramedics that are earning $80,000 a year.
Yes.
These are the most important people in our society. I think we should do more to help them. Now, I've been fortunate that I've been, made a fortune out of working in the real estate industry. Thankfully, I've never, in 54 years of working in the real estate industry, I've never had a complaint from an honest consumer, and I've got nothing that I would be ashamed of. In fact, if anything, I do feel like a complete because there is so much skullduggery going on in real estate today. It's horrendous. But so many of the things that are being done now could be done to help people get a foot into the housing market. There is no need for people to have to pay thousands of dollars up front for real estate advertising. It doesn't go on in any other country in the world. They do it without that.
Well, there's one point on that. The legacy that we're leaving the young people in this country is horrendous. We have massive debt in this country. We are paying interest of $60,000 per minute for that debt, and that debt now is $56,000 for every man, woman and child. That is the legacy we are leaving younger people who are trying to buy their first house. And until governments stop frittering away money with vanity schemes, building pyramids in their honour and these sort of things, and actually operating an economy as we do around the kitchen table where we spend a certain amount and we don't spend beyond our means, then I think the future generation has got huge problems. We cannot have governments borrowing to pay back interest. We cannot have governments spending more money than they earn. They have the ability to raise more money through taxation, but they also have the ability to lower their costs. And everyone in business lowers costs when times are tough. And that is an ethical problem that we have coming out of Canberra. They spend more than they earn, and the young people will pay because that's just the debt is just being kicked in the can down the road.
All right, but what I'm saying is that because of the wastage that goes on, you're saying the similar thing in another category perhaps, but I'm saying within the real estate industry, because of the wastage that goes on, if we were to cut out some of that wastage, if we were to ban some of the schemes that go on in real estate now and divert that money to assist first home buyers, a lot of more people would be able to get homes than are able to get homes today. It just makes me sick to see what goes on behind the scenes all the time in real estate. It really does. And I've not only been sued mercilessly and attacked over the years from people in the real estate industry, I've been beaten up and put in hospital over the things I've said. Yeah, but I mean, I would give my life for this, Ian. I really mean this. I can't stand seeing Australia's. I'm okay. You might sound like a lefty by saying this, but I can't stand seeing Australia's battlers, the good folk, good decent folk, getting ripped off, and that's what happens in real estate. The real estate agents are it's very hard to be an honest real estate agent today. It really is very hard to do it honestly. And look, that's why the turnover is so incredibly high. People get into the industry, 90% of them go in their first 12 months because you have to do dodgy things if you're to succeed. And we need to look at this. Housing is worth 10 times the amount that our stock market is worth in trillions of dollars in this country. And so much of it is being wasted. Now, I write books, which if people buy the books and read the books, they will say, well, gee, I can save money when I'm selling my house. I can stand up to these agents and I can take control. In fact, one of the best books I wrote was How to Control Real Estate Agents, instead of being controlled yourself.
All right, well, tell me, how do you control real estate agents?
Well,
Put it in a nutshell.
Okay, I'll put it in a nutshell. Everybody seems to have I went with my wife one time to an island that was supposed to be really nice. I won't give the name of the island, but it sounded like Snake Island or something like that. It was one of those islands off the Queensland coast.
Oh, yes.
And we booked for a week, and we couldn't stand it. There was mold in the showers. We could hear the people next door doing whatever they were doing during the night. It was just terrible. So I rang up in the morning and I said, look, I've decided I want to go. And they said, Mr. Jenman, I'm not sure if you're aware of our cancellation policy. And I said, well, no, I'm not, but I'm not sure if you're aware of my expectation policy, right? so let's just call it quits. You sound like a nice lady on reception. I'm a nice guy. This doesn't suit me being here. I'm going. And you say to people, when agents say, oh, it's our policy we do this, you say, well, I've got a family policy. And my family policy is I don't sign these documents that you say are standard, run by the Real Estate Institute, which is there to protect real estate agents, and they'll admit that themselves. I'm not going to sign these documents until I get somebody independent to look at it and cross out all the nasty clauses that are in it. I'm not going to pay you any money until you do what you say you're going to do. You tell me that my house is worth $2 million. Will you sell it for $2 million? And I'll pay you money. If you try and sell it for $1.5 million and cut me down, by $500,000, well, then I want to cut your commission down. And see, this is the problem. All these things are going on realestate.com, which, by the way, should be known as realestate.com. I sincerely mean that.
I understand you've been sued a few times.
Well, yeah, I wish they could sue me on that one. I'd love the chance to show what they're doing. But their fees have gone up 100 times in the last 30 years since they started. 100 times. In the last 30 years, the average Australian's wage is 3 times. Real estate agents' wages have gone up 10 times. So come on, it's so out of whack. There's so much going on that Ian and yourselves, with everything that you do, because you're not doing it every day. I'm doing it every day. I'm seeing it all the time. And there's a saying, the agents have got the experience and the home sellers have got the money. And there's a saying that when somebody with money meets a person with somebody with experience, the person with the experience is going to get the money and the person with the money is going to get the experience. And that's what's happening at the moment. People are getting ripped off by going along with the status quo. And you don't have to go along with the status quo. You just say, no, I'm not going to pay you any money. I'm not going to sign anything until I know I'm safe.
There was a bloke I spoke to years ago, wrote a book called You Can Negotiate for Anything. His name was Herb Cohen. He was a great guest, Herb Cohen.
Yes, lovely guy.
Everything, I'm surprised you know the book because not many people do. But it's a great book.
I've read hundreds of books on negotiation, Jeremy. I have, and I did a survey of real estate agents. You'd think the number one skill agents should have is the skill to negotiate.
Yes,
and they call themselves negotiators. But negotiation doesn't mean pushing old ladies down in price. It doesn't mean underquoting a house to get buyers to come along and waste their money at auctions. No, that's not negotiation. That's just misleading stuff. Proper negotiation is how you do it fairly in equity. I mean, honestly and truly, you think about real estate auctions. Nobody really stop and think about it. Do you really think that you get the best price from the buyers by yelling at them with a hammer in your hand?
I never thought about it like that.
But I want people to think about it like this. I want people to think that the correct way to do it is to sit down and have private negotiations and do it properly. Because any agent that tells any seller that selling by auction is the best way to get the best price is either an idiot or a crook. Now, I've done lots of idiotic things in my life. I have, okay? And being an idiot doesn't make us a bad person, but that's what it is. There's no other alternative for the things that are going on in the real estate industry today.
But it's all legal, I take it. It's all above board.
Oh, no. I'm glad we've got this anti-money laundering thing in place, because what I have seen over the years with the illegal money laundering going on through real estate is horrible. So people say it's illegal. No, it just hasn't been discovered. It's not examined enough. If it was a royal commission into the real estate industry, there would be a lot of CMYF for real estate agents, I can tell you. CMYF meaning clang mind your fingers when you get to jail, you know? You know what, Jeremy, you've got a great laugh. I'd like to record your laugh and use it as my ringtone on my phone.
Oh, anytime. Do you worry about AI in either real estate or writing books?
In some ways I do. I'm not sure. AI, like a lot of things, and I suppose a lot of us these days, it does frighten me a little bit. But it's so almost real, isn't it?
Well,
it's real. I mean,
it's better than real. It's better than real.
Oh dear, I don't know if it's well.
It's scary.
It is scary. It is frightening. Yes, it is. That's a whole other topic. I mean, today real estate agents have got AI calling people, pretending to be humans and saying, "Hello, this is your real estate agent. Do you want to sell your house?" So the real estate agent doesn't have to feel embarrassed when somebody tells them to get lost. But I used to tell them, I said, just use my name. I said, and then at the end of the day, you can tell me lots of people abuse me today. I'm not worried about that. but now they're using AI, of course. And
how many books have you written about real estate? Is that your only topic, that you stick to the one thing?
No, I want to write. I'd love to write a biography about Somerset Maugham.
Oh, really? Why Somerset Maugham?
Because at 21 years of age, I bought a book at Brisbane Airport of his, which set the course of my life, and I learned so much about wisdom and about how to live life through Somerset Maugham.
What was the book? What was the book?
The book was called The Summing Up.
Oh.
And the last biography written about Somerset Maugham was written by Lady Selina Hastings, and she dedicated the book to me and my wife.
Yeah.
So the book I would like to write, that would be called Saving Somerset Maugham, because he's been misjudged and misunderstood. Similar to what Alain de Botton wrote a book about how Proust can change your life. Mm-hmm. I'd like to write, say, how Maugham could change your life, because that's what I would really love to do. And I'm hoping I've got some fine sons. I've got 3 sons, one who's a naughty boy and 2 others that are pretty good. I love them all, of course, but the two other good ones, they're following me into the real estate world now, and they're really enjoying it. And as good young lads, they can't believe what's going on. You know, the definition of fraud is to obtain a financial advantage by deception. Mm-hmm. And every day, agents are either doing it deliberately or they're forced to do it to obtain a financial advantage for themselves by deception. It's just rampant in the real estate. I mean, consider this. If you're an honest real estate agent and a house is worth, honestly, about $1 million, and you go out and tell somebody that your house is worth $1 million, and then the agent comes behind you who's a liar, who says, "Oh, put it to auction, you'll get 17 million, whatever, I'm being sarcastic now, but that's what happens. They go out and they can quote them some enormous price. And then the person signs up with the liar gets paid. And the honest person says, "Hang on, I told the truth and I lost. The liar told a lie and won. What do I do to succeed? I either get out of this business or I start telling lies."
Well, it must be retrievable in some way. What do we do? Here we are with a house. We're looking to buy. We're looking to sell. How do you pick a real estate agent? I'm assuming you have to have a real estate
No,
agent.
yes. Well, no, you don't have to have a real estate agent. No, you don't. If you go onto a company called Product Review or one of those independent reviews things, right? There's a company called Rate My Agent, which is funded by agents, and the Morgan poll showed that 95% of the public do not trust real estate agents. But when you go onto Rate My Agent, 98% of people love real estate agents, and I think people are waking up to this now. It should be called Fake My Agent. Right?
Okay. Well, how do we sell or buy a house? What's the best way? The simple, honest,
simple way?
straightforward way.
Okay, get one of my books.
Okay, which one? This one, the new one?
Yeah, get the new one. Get the new one. And
how many books are there? How many books have you written?
10.
10, and they're all on this subject. And Somerset Maugham is.
No, the 9 of them are on real estate, and I wrote one about what I feel it means to really succeed in life. I wrote one which is probably, I think Ian said to me one before that his best-selling book was not his best book, and that's how it happened in my first book. Real Estate Mistakes has sold nearly 2 million copies, but my best book, which is called Success Takes Character, has sold about 100,000 copies, and so it's not even it's only 5% of the other one, and that would be my best book. Yes.
There are a lot of Chinese real estate agents around here. Well, there are a lot of Chinese residents around here.
Well, see, the Chinese are very good negotiators. The Chinese in China, they have the lowest commission rates in the world. There you go.
Yeah. What sort of commission should we be paying?
Generally speaking, nothing.
Nothing? Well,
Nothing, yeah.
Why is he in the business if he's not going to make a quid?
Because what you should be doing, no, I'm saying in most cases, most people would be better off if they sold their house without an agent. Many, many times,
I see.
The buyers come from locally. They come from next door. We had a farm that sold recently, and the owners paid a commission of $600,000 to sell their farm, and the neighbour bought it. Okay.
You could have just gone next door and knocked on the door.
Exactly. You could have leaned over the fence. No, it takes too far. You could have leaned over the fence and said, "G'day, Jack, you want to buy my farm?"
Yeah. But you don't know how much. You don't know how much it's worth. You look to some expert to tell you more about the subject than you know.
But you can get a valuer. The valuers, I often say that valuers are the hidden heroes of real estate. They really are, because the valuers have got no hidden motive or an agenda. If you want to find out the price of your home, you should invest in a few $100s and get a registered valuer to come out and value it. And they don't get angry. They don't care if you get angry with them about what you say the price of their house is worth. If they think your house is worth $1 million, they'll tell you $1 million, and you'll get a true indication of the value by hiring a valuer.
Do you reckon if you were going to try and make some money out of real estate, what's the best way to go today, looking at the landscape that we have in front of us?
To make some money out of real estate, so you mean make a profit out of it?
Well, okay, you don't want to lose money even on your family home, even temporarily. You don't want to get into a Fannie Mae kind of situation, do you?
No. Yeah, or Freddie Mac, all those things.
Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Freddie Mac, no. If you want to make money out of real estate, one of the nicest and best ways to do it, which is also very rewarding and satisfying, is to buy an old rundown home for a good price in an area that is not popular at the moment, spend some time renovating and doing it up and selling it, and that can be very rewarding. Yeah. But I just wanted to say this. When you talk about selling without an agent, if you look on Product Review and look at the ratings of agents on that, you'll find that the average real estate agent has got 72% negative rating, okay? But the companies that help people sell their homes without an agent have got an average of 99% positive rating. Now, okay, if you want to put your house, because think about this: if the real estate agent says to you, "Give me $5,000 so I can advertise your house to find a buyer," then why do you need a real estate agent? Why wouldn't you just spend your own money, advertise yourself, and find your own buyer? Well, the answer to that is realestate.com won't allow normal private sellers on their website. It's shut only for real estate agents. But there are ways around this. And the private sale companies have worked out a way of getting around it, because they actually have a licensed real estate agent who agrees to accept no fee, no commission. So therefore, realestate.com have to accept the ad. And so you can get, if you go to a normal, here's an interesting, huge point for your listeners now. if you go to a real estate agent and say you want to sell your house, it's going to cost you $5,000 to get on realestate.com and all those other websites like Domain and so on, okay, all homes and so on. About $5,000.
Yeah.
Okay, if you go to a company called Property Now that I've got nothing to do with whatsoever, it'll cost you about $700, and there's no commission to have to pay. So instead of paying $5,000 for advertising plus $25,000 for commission, which is say $30,000, you'll pay $700, and there's a good chance you'll sell your house without having to pay the commission. Now, what I often say is it's worth a try.
Yes.
Surely.
Oh, it sounds good to me.
Or just ask the neighbours. Just ask the neighbours before you're thinking of selling.
Yeah.
Just put the word out. The last 3 or 4 homes that my wife and I have sold, including one farm, we just put the word out. In France, 60% of homes are now sold without agents because the agents in France got so greedy that the public sort of almost boycotted and said, well, we're not going to put up with this anymore. So the word's got around is when somebody wants to sell their home. I mean, years ago, Jeremy, when you talk about, say, going back 20, 30, 40 years or something, when people wanted to sell their homes, they wouldn't go to a real estate agent, they'd go to a hardware store. And what they do, I'll tell you why, they'd get half a dozen keys cut for their home, or a dozen keys cut for their home. They'd go down to the dozen real estate agents in town, throw a key on the counter and say, this is the address of my house. Whoever sells it first for the best price gets paid.
I tell you
and
what.
You can still do that today.
This would make a really good radio show in the sense that you say it's just about getting the word out there. A great way. I'll go away and think about that on the weekend, how you can turn it into a radio station which basically gets the word out for people who want to sell their houses without a commission.
Yes.
You can negotiate that commission though, can't you? I mean, as Herb Cohen said, everything's negotiable.
Herb Cohen is right. Everything's negotiable. And if a real estate agent says to you, our fees are not negotiable, here's the question to ask. Because this is why I wish that the book I've written now, the one called Every Question Sellers Should Ask, I should have written this one, it should have been my first one. But the question to ask, when an agent says, our fees are not negotiable, you say, have you ever discounted your fees ever? And they'll say, well, yes. You say, well, why don't you just get me then?
Yeah.
And here's the other point. If you expect me to take a lower price on my home, why shouldn't you take a lower price on your commission?
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Sure, commission's okay. The number one word you need to remember with commission is justify. Somebody needs to be able to justify it. Like everybody, like Ian was saying a moment ago about these public servants, you got me thinking now, $800,000 a salary. It clearly cannot be justified.
No.
And what people need to do is they need to think about their greatest asset before they put it for sale. You know, agents are trained to overcome the I want to think it over objection, okay? Well, what people need to do is they need to think it over. They need to just take the time. 6 months before you want to sell your house, a year before you want to sell your house, start doing a little bit of research, that's all. And be careful, because the most frightening words I ever hear is, oh, Neil, I found a nice real estate agent. Look, never mind how nice they are, it's what they do that's important. And you ask me, how do you find a good agent? They're the very few agents, and there's some in Adelaide that do it, that only charge on success. So if your home doesn't sell, they wear the costs. They do. It's part of the risk of doing business. I mean, for goodness sake, if you're having some, now that the pandemic's over and you want to have some friends over for a barbecue, you don't go down to a butcher shop and say to the butcher, look, I've got a barbecue coming on the weekend. I want to order 200 rump steaks. And the butcher says, rump steaks, 200. Okay. All right. Well, give us $1,000 so I can advertise to find some cows. It's the same thing when you think about it.
Yeah.
Okay? You go to a real estate agent because you want to buy a buyer. The agents have already got buyers most of the time. They didn't just open yesterday, did they?
No.
You know, they've got buyers, and we all know. I can show you from the training manuals, Jeremy. It says the main purpose of advertising is not to promote the home; it's to promote the agent. And with realestate.com, if you upgrade, which everybody gets, they tell them you've got to pay for an upgrade, you've got to pay for a premium so you can be first. 99% of people have sold the same story. They're all told you've got to be first. And it's like, well, how do they do that? How do they make sure everybody comes first? You know how they do it, Jeremy? They rotate them. So Jeremy's property gets to be first for 2 minutes, and then Ian's property gets first for 2 minutes. It's sort of like booking a first-class seat to London and on Qantas, and then the plane takes off. You just settle down, put your feet up, sipping the champagne, and then the flight attendant taps you on the shoulder and says, okay, buddy, down the back, you've had your turn.
Tell me, this is brilliant stuff. There are a lot of women in real estate.
Yes.
In Adelaide, I've noticed that.
Yes.
Are women better real estate agents or salespeople than men? You see, I would trust a woman.
Well, the short answer is yes. Women are actually better negotiators. Women are more caring than men. Yes, they are. Unfortunately, if the woman is honest and decent and goes out and says your house is worth $1 million, then Larry the liar comes in and says, I'll get you $17 million at auction. They'll still sign with Larry the liar.
Oh, yeah, well, it's selling blue sky. Yeah.
I know, but generally speaking, and if you can find a woman that says she's happy to accept payment on success, see, they don't need the advertising money. They think they need it. And you know, I sat next to one of the senior executives from one of the major websites on an aeroplane. I've got the flight number, I've got the details, I've got all the name of it. I sat next to her on a flight from Brisbane to Melbourne, and she said to me, you know, the real estate agents and the public, they see us major web portals as a necessary evil. She said, what they don't realise is we're evil and we're not necessary. I thought,
I love it. I love it.
And then she said, and when I was selling my own house in Northcote, she said, the agent told me that I had to pay $6,000 for an upgraded advertisement. And I told him to get lost,
yes.
That I work for one of these companies. And I know that an upgraded advertisement is no better than normal $100 standard dollar advertisement. I told him to get lost.
Yeah, well, they charge you, my experience is they charge you for the sign out the front of the house. They charge you for absolutely every aspect of...
They charge you for the Chinese fee to translate. Some of them do. Charge you for a fee to translate it into Chinese.
Yes. Listen, wonderful.
Everywhere they can.
Yep. Wonderful to talk to you. It really is. And congratulations on the new book. The publisher is Wiley.
Yes.
Wiley.
And thank you for giving me such airtime.
No, I think you're absolutely brilliant. Questions every seller must ask. How to avoid costly mistakes and sell your home for more. Neil Jenman, best-selling author of Don't Sign Anything. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you very much.
No,
goodbye. Goodbye to Ian and that nice lady you got there.
Yep. Wonderful to talk to you. Just fantastic. Why auctions are statistically the worst way to get the best price. How to set selling terms to suit you, not the agent. Techniques that convince buyers to reveal their true maximum offer. Red flags that signal agent exploitation. How to maximise your home sale price. It all is very useful, I would say very necessary information. So if you're thinking of buying or selling, that's the book you buy. Look for Neil Jenman. You'll probably find all sorts of other books under his title.
Whether you're building your first, second or third home or a seasoned property developer, no one likes extra scary costs. Rossdale Homes get that, which is why they pride themselves on their absolute fixed price guarantee. They believe trust is a must, and with their guarantee and fixed price contract, you'll get no nasty surprises. For peace of mind, trust Rossdale, where only you can change the price. rossdalehomes.com.au, trust is a must. BLD 8104.
Listen to the radio, indeed, our radio, which is jeremycordeaux.com. We go around the world. Most importantly, we go around you, and thank you for being there. Professor Plimer, thank you for coming. You're going back up the hill?
Walking up the hill so I can look down upon you.
Yes, and look at that house, that pile of yours, and say, gee, what's that worth?
We occasionally think like that. We're two people rattling around in a 3-storey house, but we love the garden. We've got a few other places which we often think about living in, but no, we're very happy where we are.
You've got a pet snake as well.
We've got a pet snake, yes.
Does he know he's a pet?
Well,
or is he just a resident?
He goes, when sitting out in the yard, he'll come past us on the way to his little hidey hole.
Yeah.
I think he knows we're no danger.
Yeah,
It's a brown snake.
Brown snake. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see them up in the. Well, they rustle through the ivy. I never really get to see them, but I know they're there.
Well, stamp and they'll go away.
Yeah.
They're more frightened of us than we are of them. But
and I can understand that.
Yeah.
Perfectly reasonable.
We've got a pet snake. We've got a few antichinus, and we've got all sorts of galahs. Not the ones in Canberra, the real ones that fly. And we've got quite a menagerie of animals that come in to get fed.
Are you back in town tomorrow? Or
I'm back in town, I think, for another week, and then I'm off to Perth and Brisbane. Then I'm off to the Mediterranean for a couple of weeks.
Okay. Well, will you be by on Friday?
Next Friday.
Okay, that'll be wonderful.
God willing, I'll be here.
And God willing, I'll be here. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. All the best.
Professor Ian Plimer, ladies and gentlemen. I remember that was my brother's theme. He used to play that. It was the thing he signed off with and signed on with. Music Box Dancer, it's called. Music Box Dancer. John Ovenden has arrived. How are you, sir? Have you met Isabella? Have you met Isabella?
I'm just meeting her.
Yes.
I'm just meeting all sorts of people.
We're trying to figure out where the headphones are.
Is that better?
Most people don't wear the headphones, but you being an old radio man, of course, you're going to be attracted to wearing headphones.
I have never enjoyed radio as much as I do with you.
Oh, God bless you.
It's the only thing I've never done in radio or TV.
Well, nobody, I think, has ever...
It's wonderful to work with you and to know you. I sing your praises, and Caroline's too.
Well...
And Gary and Tony, all the time.
Oh, thank you. I don't think anyone has ever done a radio program around a dining room table since 1923 when Jack and Stella Hume began radio, the industry, in fact, in Australia, down on Green Hill Road. So what goes around comes around.
Well, we nearly had a first because my son
That's the
Andrew
original studio there.
was going to be on the program ahead of me.
Oh, yes, he was. Yes.
Oh, and he had to pull out because work. This idiot wanted him to drive him around, but I'll try and set him up for you for next month because it's been a long time since a father and son have been on the same program.
Well, that's true.
In two entirely different subjects.
That's true. Isabella is my inspiration. She is.
Is she?
She is the young lady.
You're my inspiration.
Oh well,
and Caroline too. And a lovely cup of coffee when I come in and everything. But where's Missy? I haven't seen Missy.
No, Peter's taken Missy for a run on the beach.
Oh, because usually I bring a little tin of dog food for her.
Oh my God!
But,
don't tell Pete. He's kind of anal about these things. He weighs every piece of food that she has because he doesn't want her to get overweight. We have a little puppy at home and up at the other house, and she eats anything. And we certainly don't weigh anything. She wouldn't have the patience to stand there and let us weigh her food. It's down the little red hole.
Well, I've put on a little bit since you've introduced me to that lovely red.
Well, it's not only that, it's the biscuits around the table as well.
Oh, no, I've resisted those at the moment because I've put on 10 kilos.
Well,
I haven't got a car, so I can't go anywhere, really. I just count sheep.
Well, in the business, we all know about low-budget programs. This is a no-budget program. So we just bribe people with biscuits and red wine.
And coffee as well.
Oh, coffee, yes,
if
you want to. Yeah. But this young lady is quite inspirational. She would have a wonderful career. You know, you started doing the Inspired By... you were doing that when you were 8 years old?
I started when I was 6 years old interviewing Maggie Beer in the Barossa Valley.
Can you imagine that, John? 6 years old, and she started interviewing people. But they didn't have podcasts that many years ago, did they?
Well, it didn't originally start off as a podcast. It was just the TV show that we put onto YouTube. And if you watch the episode, and if you want to, that would be great. But it's not our best one because, it was our first time doing the whole process. And obviously your first time is going to be a bit of a flop in some aspects. And more recently, we actually wrote a song about that. And I went to Sydney and filmed a music video about, taking your flops and making them pop metaphorically. And I collabed with Violet Hull, who is Jimmy Barnes and Mark Lazotte's niece. And I made a music video with her, and we kind of put that together, and it's all about encouraging people to put aside the fear. It doesn't matter if you fail the first time. You just got to put yourself out there until it works.
Did you ever get stage fright, John?
Did I ever get?
Stage fright. Nervous before performing.
Once at the Festival Theatre, I was comparing a concert with the police band, and I opened the concert and walked off, and a voice said to me, "I wouldn't stand there if I were you, mate. If the safety curtain comes down, it'll hit you on the head."
Yeah, but
so I had to move pretty quickly.
Well, live performance, anything live, is bound to make you nervous. The trick is you just have to work on getting the butterflies in your tummy to fly in formation.
Yes.
That's all you have to do, then everything works.
And sort of work. Well, I had a lovely night with the Duke of Edinburgh when he came out to present the awards and at dinner, and I was comparing it. And the winners, they had photographs projected onto a screen. But the person operating it had a sneezing fit and fell over the equipment. So the wrong slides came up. And the first one, the Duke said, "Love 15." And everybody went, "Ooh." But the next one was all right. So I said, 15 all, sir. And everybody started to laugh. The next one came up and it was the wrong one. 15:30, said the Duke.
Wow.
The next one was all right. 30 all. And by then everybody was laughing. And he had to go along with it too. And John Bannon, Premier recognised, saved the night by turning it into
well,
humour.
make it funny, make it human.
Yes, we did. And the next morning I got to work at the ABC, and the Duke had sent round a set of cufflinks for me to say thank you for last night.
Did you keep them?
Yeah, I've got them at home, yes.
Well, that would be wonderful.
And but I couldn't thank him because the Royal Yacht had sailed for Melbourne that morning.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to contact him, but I wrote to the Palace and said thank you very much indeed. It was a great night and everybody enjoyed it. And we got out of trouble.
I don't know if you can believe everything you hear and everything you read. You probably can't. But
well, I've got them here. I've got a lot of stories here.
Well, I have heard that the Duke was quite a lad.
Yes, I've heard one or two stories about that, yeah.
Yes.
He was a sailor, though, wasn't he? I mean, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes. One in every port.
Yes. But a very nice man.
Well, what's the point of being married to the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh if you can't?
Well, not only that, too. I've been invited to the Palace twice to tea parties. And the second one, when you meet a minor royal, and then you go off to the tea tents, and the nobs go off to one, and the plebs to the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And off we went to the plebs, and there was a cleric there, and I started making, according to my partner, terrible jokes about the feeding of the 5,000 and everything. And he laughed. He thought it was very funny. So away we went, and I said, look...
It's just like loaves and fishes, you mean?
More or less, yes.
Yeah.
So you get the cakes and the ice cream, I'll get the sandwiches and the thing, and then we'll swap half and we'll feed each other at the speed of light.
What were the sandwiches? Were they cucumber sandwiches?
They were, I think, yes. They were
funny
a variety.
About that. I can't imagine anyone putting cucumbers into a sandwich. Yet it's
an acquired taste that you learn at school, isn't it, when they try to feed you on the cheap. But anyway, we had a lot of fun. And next morning, my partner opened the Daily Telegraph. She said, you know that cleric you were talking to with those terrible jokes about the feeding of the 5,000? I said, yes. Yeah. Do you know who he was? No, the Archbishop of Canterbury.
Oh,
my goodness.
Did he have a sense of humour?
Oh, he did, absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Well, I suppose you get various kinds of archbishops of Canterbury. Some would be sort of more
he was
freed
very
up, and
nice.
others wouldn't be.
They weren't particularly funny jokes, but he.
You've met a
brought
lot
good
of
laughter.
fascinating people, haven't you?
I've been very, very lucky. I've done other things. I've played rugby for Harrods department store too.
I didn't know they were into the rugby league world.
Not a league. I was with
rugby.
Selfridges, and they were Harrods were short, so they rang Selfridges. Do you have anybody who plays rugby?
They had their own team.
Yes. Selfridges and Harrods.
Oh.
And away we went. But the interesting thing was I was working with, it was my introduction to Australians. And I don't know how they did it, but this particular group smuggled everything for the Christmas dinner out through the back door of Selfridges, including the turkey, the pudding, mince pies, everything.
God.
I'd never seen anything like it in my life coming from Wiltshire. And we had a wonderful Christmas.
Well, a sleight
But a
of
naughty
hand
one.
or really lax security. Very strange.
I would think they knew the security, and the security might have turned a blind eye.
Oh,
how
my
do you
God.
smuggle a whole turkey out?
I don't know. I've never tried.
No, I certainly haven't either. Or pudding or the entire meal. So, it was a lesson. And in the end, I sort of stayed there for a while until I got a more regular job, and then started knocking at the door of the BBC.
Well, you don't want to work in this business. It's terribly unreliable. Isabella, very unreliable. You just don't know.
Very much so. I think, especially, there's so many different variables influencing what the job market's going to look like, and I think what we've got to do is we've got to do the things that we're passionate about.
Yeah.
You doing radio, Vincent van Gogh painting, because anything you are passionate about, you will always do well. And if you can do something well, there'll be at least one person to begin with that appreciates whatever you do. But we've just got to kind of obviously be cautious with what you do. Don't go spending all your money into one direction, but just keep your mind open to anything that will happen in the future, because again, you can't influence the future, but you can influence the present and what you're doing.
Absolutely,
with that.
absolutely. Yeah. You can't trust the bastards though, because you're getting on like a house on fire and everything is fine, and then they bring in another or a consultant or a manager from interstate or something like that.
I'm just going to say Nova this week announced they're going to outsource all of their what they call traffic and scheduling, which is people who set up all the playouts all overseas to some Indian or Philippine centre.
They do that with all the call centres. It is impossible to talk to a human being in those big companies. You have an issue.
It's crazy.
And when you do get through to someone, it's the biggest inconvenience of their day.
Yes.
You have, say you've got a problem with Netflix, right? I think Netflix aren't too difficult to get through to, but just imagine they are, because there are so many people that you pay subscriptions for and they're difficult to get through to. And you have paid $30 a month to have a subscription, and say it keeps doing that thing where it goes, we're having trouble playing this title at the moment. Nothing's wrong with your internet. There's nothing wrong with your surroundings. It should be working. And then they say, there's nothing we can really do about it at this time. It's like, well, it's the time most people are watching. And then obviously the person that you're talking to is from overseas and you can't understand a word they're saying. So,
well, it's the only way I found around it was to risk everything in my life and buy a radio station, and they couldn't sack me.
I think that's worked out very well for you. I think this dining room table is one of the very few places where you can actually speak the truth and it isn't, and speak the facts, and it's not spun into some political jargon that makes up the world that we have.
Well, you know how you have disclaimers, and sometimes management insists that you have a disclaimer, and that is that the views expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management. But then again, we are the management, so
that's the best.
That's
part.
okay.
I think what's happening is people are closing their ears to anything that isn't what the major broadcasting people and the government preach. And it's, you try and share another opinion, and it's not that they can't even accept it. We're not asking them to necessarily agree with it, but they struggle to actually conceptualize the idea that there are other opinions and there are facts that actually matter a little bit more.
Yeah. You two people, you've interviewed lots of people. Who's the one that sticks in your mind? And don't carry favour with me by saying me. All of those other people that you've spoken to, who's the most memorable?
Most memorable interview? Oh, it really depends because there's so many. Like, I can tell you stories about every interview and they're all quite funny in their own ways. You know, we've had people on that have been incredibly stony the whole time and you're trying to, you know, break the ice and make it entertaining and they're not budging and it's kind of like you're in this passive-aggressive standoff trying to make it a good program, but they're not. And we've had interviews we've done them in a hotel room and someone we met that day has to trust us that we're not trying to, you know, kidnap them or anything. And, you know, we've done things with racing. We've done things where we've gone go-karting on someone's tennis court and they were an artist. But I think the bottom line is not what the most memorable interview is, but the message. It's all the same. And you wouldn't think that. You interview lots of people, you get different opinions. But every single person has said to do what you love. And I think that's the most memorable part of the whole journey is that advice.
Very diplomatically handled. John, he's got a kaleidoscope of film stars and celebrities and royalty.
Yeah, I've got into actors and people. I think the most enjoyable thing is when it really works. Because
how do you know? How do you know?
Well, you don't. More you've done some homework. The press agent has teed it up for you, and you go along, and you don't know what's going to happen. The example I can think of was Frankie Vaughan. The press agent rang me and said, "Oh, he's going out to Sydney to sing in the clubs. Can you do an interview for the ABC that will publicise his visit and sell tickets?" And I said, "Absolutely, yes." So I went along to Frankie's palatial mansion, very, very nice, and we absolutely clicked. He had a very tough upbringing in South Africa. We talked about that. We talked about lots of things. And at the end, he just said, you know, we'll stay for supper? And I said, I'd love to, but I'm not dressed. Oh, I'll lend you a jacket and tie if that's what you want. But there are two other guests coming, and they're bringing their wives for supper. They've just written a new book. I'll see they talk to you too. It'll be a short interview.
Who were they?
That's exactly what I asked. Morecambe and Wise.
Morecambe and Wise. Yes.
God, you know, yes. What's the book about, Eric? It's 76 blank pages. 76 blank pages, yes.
Write your own.
It's all about Ernie's sex life. You know. And away you went, bang, bang, bang. But as Frankie said, everything said at the dinner table is off the record.
Yes, it stays around the dinner table.
Yeah, but there was one thing.
Same here, except it goes around the world, which...
Yes.
Hang on a sec, John. John, are you there?
I am.
God bless you, sir. How are you?
Not bad, thank you. How are you, Jeremy?
I'm well. What's on your mind?
Heaps.
What isn't on your mind?
Well, listen, I'm going to just roll off three quick things and then I'll get off the line, right?
Okay, I've got John Ovenden with me, and I've got Isabella Taylor, and I've got Gary and Tony. And you? Go for it.
All right. Welcome to the panel.
Yes.
That's the easiest way I can do that. Okay, here's the first one. And you probably discussed this morning about this Telstra outage that we had, right? Which to me is it's pretty poor from Telstra. What I didn't really appreciate was Patricia Carvelis on the ABC having a crack at Sarah Henderson because Sarah actually contacted the 000 number twice to find out whether it was working or not.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, well, she just sort of said to her, you need to apologise to the people for thing. Well, she is the shadow communications minister, and she wanted to find out whether it was working or whether it wasn't working. So, to me, Patricia Carvelis should have just kept on her brain. She sits on them as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you just have to listen to that program and her track record. She has a particular
agenda. She does.
Well,
yeah.
it's an approach to life which doesn't sort of fit with me, and by the sound of it, doesn't fit with you.
No, it doesn't.
But it fits with the ABC.
Yeah. Now,
if you know what I mean.
Yes, I do. Now, here's the second one. Our Prime Minister, Solomon Islands, offers $45 million for education, books and that for their education. And I believe that talking to the Indian Prime Minister last night or yesterday, he offered a sum of money for education to happen then. We have 48,000 children in this country that aren't going to school, and I know there can be varying reasons, but what's wrong with educating Australians first?
Charity begins at home, absolutely.
Exactly, and I just can't believe that the Prime Minister is just throwing money around like that.
Well, it's not his. Why would he worry?
Well, that's probably the point, Jeremy. He doesn't seem to worry about it.
John, did you see the one? Did you see the one in the paper yesterday about the $650,000 given for travel by climate activists and Aboriginal groups to the luxury Turkish beachside resort for this year's UN Climate Talk Fest?
So
650,000 grand.
So how much was the total amount?
$650,000, $20,000 per person to fly climate campaigners.
This is just one
COP31 in Turkey in November.
A meeting to talk about the climate. $61,000, John.
Yeah, and the final point I want to raise. They're going to build this U-Butte stadium down in Tasmania for football, for AFL.
Yeah.
And I believe the person that is the, if you like, the contracted builder or what have you, he's gone into receivership.
Yeah.
Liquidation, that's the word.
Liquidation, yeah. Oh, John. You might also add to your list the $500 million that we're giving to Papua New Guinea for their rugby league team. You've got to scratch your head and worry about that.
Whether you're building your first, second or third home or a seasoned property developer, no one likes extra scary costs. Rossdale Homes get that, which is why they pride themselves on their absolute fixed price guarantee. They believe trust is a must, and with their guarantee and fixed price contract, you'll get no nasty surprises. For peace of mind, trust Rossdale, where only you can change the price. rossdalehomes.com.au, trust is a must. BLD 8104.
The rain was falling down as I flew out of town. I went to Paris for the day, and there I got to know a certain Romeo with oh so gentle continental ways. Monsieur Dupin, Monsieur Dupin, you made me see so tenderly that I was never loved before. Monsieur Dupin, I know it's wrong, but I don't ever wanna go home anymore.
Monsieur Leponte. Can you speak French, John?
Un petit peu, monsieur.
Oh, you can? Anything you can't do?
Comme ça.
What's in the... Is this the scrapbook or one of the many?
This is a scrapbook that I compiled while I was reading news for the BBC.
Right.
To about 16 million or 3 billion listeners around the world.
God, that would make you nervous. I mean, going...
No, you don't have time. Bob Caldecott, I rang. Bob was a great friend. I got him the British Empire Medal from the Queen, and I got him to write his autobiography. And so we were great friends. I came back from London, and I said, I often think of you, Bob. I sit in this tiny news studio waiting for the announcer to say, this is London, and then Big Ben starts up, and then the Pips, and the green light goes out and you're on. And I said, I wonder how Bob would cope with the pressure at the moment because I'm about to shit myself. And Bob paused and said, I'm doing exactly the same thing. I said, well, Bob, I'll take that back to London. That's very encouraging to know that you
creative
are all
tension.
people.
Creative tension. It's good to be on your mettle, and that's one way to get on your mettle.
Well,
how many listeners again?
Sorry?
How many listeners?
Well, to the ordinary bulletin, about 16 million, and certainly that was with sport, when I was with sport. And I walked in the first day there, and I said, is that Richard Burton in the league? And they said, yes. And I thought, interview. So I went in and started talking. I looked out through the glass, and everyone's laughing. It's Burton's twin brother, Graham.
I didn't know he had a twin brother.
Yeah.
But that could be useful.
Graham and I became great drinking mates. And I'm only the second journalist to get into Richard Burton's home and meet his mother and his sister and everybody. And the mother saying that he shouldn't have married Elizabeth Taylor. That was a mistake.
Twice.
Yes.
Twice.
He shouldn't have done.
Did you ever hear him reading? In fact, I think they made a record. He made a record of it, Under Milk Wood.
Yes, I have parts of it, yes.
That's a remarkable piece of oratory. Amazing.
Yes. Oh, he was an amazing actor, he really was. But, but Graham, we were great mates in the sports department. I had Cliff Morgan, the ex-international, as my boss. The best boss I ever had in radio. 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, there he is in the control room with sleeves rolled up, urging, I want those headlines read properly, John. I don't want them stuffed up.
As if you would not read them properly.
Well, it was my first broadcast, and he was making sure, mainly by shaking me, that I got the message.
But I think that's likely to make you more nervous, isn't it?
Well, Wales won so many games, and the Barbarians and the British Lions. With
the Barbarians!
Behind the pack.
Yeah.
But he was the best boss I ever had in radio.
Well, if they're not at the gate, where are they?
Yeah, well, he really was nice, and we got on really well. And I didn't mess them up. No. He came out and he put his arms around me and he said, no, from now on you're not to be known as John Boyle in the sports room. You'll be known as John Bach, B-A-C-H, and that's the highest compliment a Welshman can ever pay you. And I said, Cliff, if you said now, I want you to run through that wall, I would, however long it would take me to knock it down.
Well, there are some people who can inspire people to do great things.
Well, he's a byword in Wales.
Like Isabella.
I had, with my partner, a 10-day holiday courtesy of the Welsh Tourist Board.
How many times have you been married?
Just the once.
Oh, really?
Just the once.
I pegged you for a serial offender.
Not quite, no. I am looking for the perfect
yes.
gal, now, I'm still on my own, so yes, it's time now. But of course, not having a car, I can't drive anywhere to meet anyone.
Well, you can't get away.
No, but give me 3 weeks or so and you think I'm going to get my licence back.
Oh, well, there's no reason.
No, I haven't had any more problems. It was not my accident. The car, I was not speeding. I was sober. It was the middle of the day. The car had been serviced. I was wearing a seatbelt. And I just blanked out and went across the road into a tree. Bang.
Well, I wasn't in a car, but I fainted up at the house. And I don't know why. Oh, I do know why. I went onto that Ozempic thing because I wanted to lose weight. And I hadn't eaten for 3 days or something. And I just fainted. And Caroline panicked and called an ambulance. And never do that. I say, I'm not a doctor, so I shouldn't advise
Well, they
on
pulled
these
me
matters.
You shouldn't not.
No, well, look, the ambulance comes along and says, we don't know whether you've had a seizure or you've fainted or you've had a stroke. But we have to take you to hospital. I said,
That's
no, you're
what they
not.
did with me.
I'm not going to hospital. Sorry.
Well,
anyway,
I did. I spent 4.5 hours there, and they couldn't find anything wrong with me at all.
No, the same with
so
me. I went
faint.
to the doctor. And the doctor said, I can't find anything wrong with you.
No, the specialist couldn't find anything either.
No problem. That's the big problem because they then have to take your license away because they can't find a cause for the blackout. They can't find a cause. So they take your license away in case you might do it again behind the wheel.
Well, I've had
we
nothing.
got it back.
Absolutely no.
I got
nothing.
it. I got it back, but it was 6 months of inconvenience, as it is for you.
It is, yeah, I've had 5 months of it, so I've only got 3 weeks to go.
Oh, well, look,
before I go, I'm nearly there.
The home run, yeah, you're almost there.
But yeah, it's a lonely life out there. Well, I've got 150 sheep to count, so that'll keep me going. But I'm looking
sheep
around.
At night to go to sleep.
Yes.
No.
You count sheep at night to go to sleep.
Well, yeah, or I stop watching the World Cup.
And some of them are very good looking.
1:30.
Some of them are very good looking. What are you doing? Winding you up. Oh, winding me. She's very good winding people up. She winds people up all the time.
Why is she doing?
Well, it's a producer's thing. You know, it's
is it?
The power of the producer is the great wind up.
Oh, she's the producer.
Oh, yes.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Oh, I see.
Keeps me on the straight and narrow to time. Makes sure I don't step out of line. Have too much fun.
You can't have that. Oh, no, you can't have too much fun, can you?
I don't know.
You can't.
I don't know. Don't talk to Isabella about that sort of thing. I hope her mother keeps her away from such things for as long as possible.
Well, this is a scrapbook that I compiled while I was at the BBC. When they finished with papers, they threw them out, but I'd go through them and cut the best things out. I love the one, Britannica Encyclopedia, full set for sale, not needed due to husband knowing everything.
Dear, most husbands no idea.
There was some Jim. I've got a whole book and it would take too long over the thing, but there was another story that Jim liked out in the car. I don't know if I mentioned this, the police playing a football team, playing a local team, and they thought they recognised someone who was wanted for a crime and arrested him.
Mm.
The police were losing the match 2-0, but after they arrested him, they won the match 3-2.
Well, that's creative.
Isn't it?
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
They love a sense of humour. The British police reduced a lot of tension with laughter.
Mm.
The Prime Minister always had a press annual conference in Brighton.
Yeah.
And the security was massive. And every car was searched and everything. And the police came across my partner's colleague and said, "Open the boot, please." And she did. And inside were all these sexual devices, everything possible, imaginable.
In a boot of a car?
In the boot of the car.
Strange.
And, you see, she was a psychologist and she was going to give a lecture.
Oh.
So she took along these. Anyway, the officer couldn't believe it. Ran over to his colleague and they had a conflab. Back they came and they said, "Madam, we don't want to know what you're doing with all these things in this car, but can we please come to the party?"
Well, it sounds more like she was taking them home for a trial before she could recommend them to her clients or something like that.
Might be. I didn't go into that, or I just heard the story.
No.
And away with that. And there was a lot of fun. And when I went back, I was pulled over and tested for... Anyway, the officer
I know
came,
that feeling.
The officer came up and said, "Oh, I'd better get the sergeant." When the sergeant came up and said, "Oh, hello, sir, had a few drinks, have we?" And I started sort of fooling around and all that, and put my arm around him, and the car behind couldn't believe it. The driver was goggle-eyed. And the sergeant said, "You haven't had a drink, have you?" I said, "No, I haven't, no. But I'm going to pretend I have had a few."
You like winding people up?
I love it.
So have you met Caroline? She likes winding people up as well.
Oh, she's never wound me up, I've seen. We get on really well.
She winds everybody up.
Is she? Oh, I've got it to come then.
The great
anyway,
winder-upper.
We carried on and he let me go. And the bloke got out of the car. He said, "You let that idiot go? He was drunk out of his mind." No, he wasn't. He was cold sober. Do you know how I know that? And the man said, "No, he goes out with my mum." So
small world.
Very small world, yes. But it works here. I remember there was great rivalry between the Greeks and the Italian soccer club. You know, when they played, the local derby was quite something.
And they had Italian names and things.
Yeah, oh yes. It was at Kensington, and the team, 2 police officers came out, and the crowd started booing them.
Oh.
And I just got back from the World Cup in Germany, commentating matches there, and I ran down from the commentary spot to the two officers and I said, come on, we're going to laugh. We'll make a joke. Slap me on the back, we'll have a good laugh, everything. And the tension went. When they saw what was happening out there and that I was down there with them, everybody relaxed and the tension went.
They're not armed, are they, in England?
No, not normally, no. I don't know what things have changed, but... some interesting things, sort of happen from time to time. Going over to Ireland as a guest of the Irish Tourist Board and doing interviews and promoting, went into a place in Killarney, and I'd got a very BBC accent at the time. I was moving around,
John, you still have.
I still, well, I've got a new agent thanks to one of your guests last time. Anyway, I started and everybody fell silent. And I said, what's going on? Oh, well, they remember Cromwell and the potato famine and the people who died, and they've never forgiven.
Long memory.
So I started talking more with an Australian accent, and sort of changing it. And everybody started talking again. So these sort of things sort of work.
Yeah.
And you go into a pub, and I went in and a window opens. Yes, I said, going in for a drink. We're closed, but let yourself in, help yourself to a drink, and wait till we open.
Well, that sounds very Irish.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
So we did,
I love it.
Had a lot of fun.
Thank you, John, for coming.
Thank you for having me. Yes, well, we haven't gone through all these things, so I'll keep for next time.
Bring it back next time, yes.
But I've got a whole lot of them. I've got asterisks marked, but the best ones, which it's quite a scrap album.
Yeah, well, keep the wonderful
3 or 4
memories.
years.
Wonderful history, wonderful
there's some
career.
very funny stories there.
Yeah.
I've been making Jim laugh all the way down from home with my driver, and we'll get around to that next time. So I'm sorry I haven't made it, because we should be talking a bit more. Anyway, so I'll say goodbye. Thank you for having me again on your program.
Thank you. So next time I see you, you'll be driving.
Yes.
Good.
Fingers crossed.
Okay, God bless you.
Thank you for your support.
Amazing man. John Ovenden, ladies and gentlemen.
You can always go around if it don't look right coming down. Don't wait until you're sideways, maybe sliding on the ground. You can always go around. I know back when I learned to fly, my instructor was yelling in my ear. Power in, carpet cold, climb out, pitch, flaps to go, take it round the patch one more time again. But I know now he was showing me that just because the nose is pointing down, if it doesn't look right, give it one more try. You can always go around. You can always go around. If it don't look right coming down, don't wait until you're silent, maybe sliding upside down. You can always go around.
You cry and moan and say it will work out, but honey child, I've got my doubts. You can't see the forest for the trees. So don't get me wrong, it's not that I knock it, it's just that I am not in the market for a boy who wants to love only me. Yes, and I ain't saying you ain't pretty. I'm saying I'm not ready for any person, place, or
Okay, I haven't given you the dates, have I? Isabella Taylor and her mum and her family, they are leaving, and John's about to go out the door. And the dates, happy birthday if you're having a birthday, happy wedding anniversary, July the 10th. Coca-Cola and Company announced that it will resume selling the old formula Coca-Cola, which is fascinating because they never should have changed it in the first place. But anyway, better late than never, I suppose. I don't know what that cost them. You know, there could be a wonderful book in all of the stupid decisions that companies make and the cost of those decisions. That was 1985 that occurred. The old formula Coca-Cola came straight back. 10:40. Oh, this is interesting. Lady Godiva rides naked on horseback through Coventry, according to legend, to force her husband, the Earl of Mercia, to lower taxes. Do you think we could put Kylie on a horse? We could put Kylie Minogue on a horse and maybe Albo would lower the taxes. He seems to be rather taken with her.
Well, you know, each to their own. I'm not sure I see the total.
You don't see the total picture.
I don't.
Are you familiar with the Lady Godiva?
I admire
legend?
Kylie Minogue, but yeah, I think we've got to do some more strong-holding legislation to lower things like that.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, I don't care how we lower the tax as long as we do. It just appeals to me to sort of have Lady Godiva riding through Adelaide.
That'd work.
Well, I think so. Howard Hughes flies around the world in 91 hours. 1938 was the year. Mel Blanc, I talked to him several times over the years, the American radio comedian and voice actor, best known for his Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies cartoons. He was Bugs Bunny. He was Elmer Fudd. He was Porky Pig. He dies at 81. Who was the character that he did with the rooster? He says, I say, boy. I say, boy. He says, Foghorn Leghorn. Smart as a bowling ball. No, sharp as a bowling ball.
I know you're there, Wabbit.
Yeah, Wabbit. Pesky Wabbit. Boris Yeltsin sworn in as the first elected president for the Russian Foundation in 1991. French foreign intelligence. There's an oxymoron. They blow up the Greenpeace boat Rainbow Warrior in Auckland Harbour. New Zealand is prevented. Well, the whole thing was about the nuclear tests in the South Pacific. Dutch photographer Fernando Pereira was killed. 1985 was the year. I remember the day. The original sketch of Winnie the Pooh's 100-Acre Wood by E.H. Shepard sells for £430,000 in London, a record price paid for an illustration. 2018. The city of Dublin is founded on the banks of the River Liffey in 988. Gee whiz, that goes back, doesn't it? 988 was the year. Omar Sharif, the Egyptian actor, Dr. Zhivago, Lawrence of Arabia, dies at 83. He was a champion bridge player, wasn't he? Was bridge?
Bridge was.
Oh, you've got a very deep voice over there.
That's my cold, Jeremy.
That's your cold, yeah. You're not trying to sound sexy, it's just...
No.
No,
That's
all right. Okay.
I wish I could keep it. I'd go on radio.
You are on radio.
Oh,
Stop
dear.
it. The Battle of Britain begins as Nazi forces attack shipping convoys in the British Channel. 1940 was the year. Nikola Tesla, the Serbian-American physicist, electrical engineer and inventor who developed alternating current as opposed to direct current, and the Tesla coil, was born in the Austrian Empire, now Croatia. He died in 43, but born 1856. Taylor Swift, named the world's highest paid entertainer by Forbes, earning $185 million in 2018. Small change from what she makes today. How much did the wedding cost? I don't think she cares. She likes a bash. Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, what does he do? He's a baseball player, basketball. Yeah, and being paid hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Oh.
Very
Interesting prenup. They tell you about prenups around here at Seymour College?
No, I learned that.
Oh, you learned that at home? I love that. When I was 14, I never knew anything about prenups.
I think people if anyone listening needs to advise their children or grandchildren on that, look at people like Taylor Swift and Zendaya, and they've tied their things up nicely. Because while I think you might know someone, when it comes to the less nice end of the stick, things tend to change.
Well, you see, you're a very wise young lady, I think being influenced by a very, very, very wise lady, young lady too. So, you've learned lessons.
As Elmer Fudd said, be very, very careful.
Be very, very careful. Yes. Marry in haste, repent at your leisure. It's an old saying. Taylor Swift, what? How long will it last? Oh, I don't know.
I reckon she's had a tumultuous dating history up until now. Oh, gosh, don't even get me. She's had people cheat on her. She's cheated on. It's interesting. And I know she wanted to have kids, and she's kind of, her biological clock's ticking. So I think she'll probably have kids with him.
How old is she?
34 or 35. 34, yeah.
Mm. Oh, well, I would sort of say that's the prime of life.
Indeed.
I think that's prime time. John H. Hammond, American music producer, talent scout, promoter, activist. He discovered Billie Holiday, Teddy Wilson, Count Basie, Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen. He dies at 76, but born this day in... No, that's the date that he died, 1987. The first police radio system operated in Eastchester Township in New York. The first police radio system in 1933. We'd better go, hadn't we? The original Birkin. Have you got Je t'aime?
Je t'aime.
Ah, Je t'aime. Je t'aime. Je t'aime. Je t'aime. The original Birkin bag, designed for singer and fashion icon Jane Birkin. Oh boy. Je t'aime.
Je t'aime. Oui, je t'aime.
That's her without the bag. Eunice Kennedy Shriver, sister of President John F. Kennedy, founder of the Special Olympics, born in Brookline, Massachusetts, died 2009 and born this day in 1921. What, Caroline? Oh, the first parking meter installed in England. 625 of them were installed. 1958 was the year. And Caroline says I must read this one as well. Donald William Sinclair, British co-proprietor of the Gleneagles Hotel and the inspiration for the character Basil Fawlty in Fawlty Towers. Born in Ireland, died in 1981, but born 1909. I've never heard of Donald William Sinclair. Yeah, very good. All righty, we got to go. And thanks to Rossdale Homes, our sponsors, and all our guests. What have I done with my rundown? Peter Goers was on. Dr. John Bruni, Professor Ian Plimer, Isabella Taylor, Neil Jenman and his wonderful book, and John Ovenden. And Gary with a bad cold.
Gary with a cold.
Gary with a cold. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll have a posting on Facebook at 9 o'clock on Tuesday morning, then again on Thursday morning. That's the Court of Public Opinion from the Garage. You can look that up, Jeremy Cordeaux. And this is jeremycordeaux.com, round the dining room table next Friday. Thank you so much for being with us. Believe in yourself. And goodbye for now.
We're together, right or wrong. Where you go, I'll tag along. Remember me, I'm the one who loves you.
You're listening to the Court of Public Opinion with Jeremy Cordeaux.
You are the winter, fall and spring. You are the sun that summertime brings. You are the stars in the nighttime sky. You are my girl and I'm your guy. You got me all tied up in knots, and I'm loving you lots and lots. I'm just loving you lots and lots. I'm loving you lots and lots.
Tune into the Court of Public Opinion at jeremycordeaux.com.
We're all going on a summer holiday. No more working for a week or two. Fun and laughter on our summer holiday. No more worries for me or you for a week or two. We're going where the sun shines brightly. We're going where the sea is blue. We've seen it in the movies. Now let's see if it's true. Everybody has a summer holiday, doing things they always wanted to. So we're going on a summer holiday to make our dreams come true. For me and
You've flown it all sky high by telling me a lie without a reason why. You've blown it all sky high. You've blown it all sky high. I love that wings to fly. You could have touched the sky. You've blown it all sky high. You've blown it all sky high by telling me a lie.
Roll out of bed, Mr. Coffee's dead. The morning's looking bright. And your shrink ran off to Europe and didn't even write. And your husband wants to be a girl.
Be glad there's one place in the world where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna go where people know people are all the same. You
wanna go where everybody knows your name.
Soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crece la palma. Y antes de morir me quiero echar mis versos del alma. Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera.
You alone are the living thing that keeps me alive. And tomorrow, if I'm here without your love, you know I can't survive. Only my love can raise you high above it all. Throw it all away, our love, our love. Don't throw it all away, our love. Don't throw it all away, our love, our love. Don't throw it all away, our love. All the girls I knew when I was single, brought them all